Check out the
dancing with us. Dancing with us. Dancing with us.
Joe Salzone, hello. We haven't started yet, so we're just gonna. Yeah, he's watching on Facebook. Joe, hey.
Hi, Joe.
So here. This is my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. There she's coming. Well, we leave it because we're going to start in like 2 minutes. Yeah. Because I just got to get this recorder going.
Yeah. Let me say hi to Joe. Hi, Joe.
Somebody else's car.
Come on. What's wrong with this thing?
We ordered different drinks at the same bar.
What time is it? Wow, it's 9:02 already. Hey, we're going to be starting the show. Joe says, hey, Deb and Joyce. Yay. So, yeah, we're beginning, folks. In a moment. Ready? Where's my...
Those great whites, they have big teeth. But they bite you.
Okay, and we're going to start. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start the Dave's Gone By radio program of the air, which always starts with
and
a
of
sound.
the video.
And right, how do you... Dave's Gone By radio program of the video.
Air and of the sea.
Of the sea for coax cables?
You see it.
Oh, yes, and you see it. Very good. I've got to get your mic on, too, and I've got to get our theme music playing.
Good morning. There goes the neighborhood. And there was much rejoicing.
Didn't your meds kick in yet?
Yeah, David Lefkowitz here. He's a Long Island arts guy. He's got his own radio show.
I want you all to really enjoy a wonderful program done by a fine artist.
A glorious thing of unparalleled beauty.
Dave's Gone By. Dave is one of my very favorite broadcasters, so keep on listening to Mr. Dave.
Tropical hot dog night. Like two flamingos in a fruit fight. Every color of day.
When we get out, we're on the air, but without speaking on the air yet.
I'm playing this music.
Because remember, as soon as Mike's on music, that's out.
You made a monster tonight. Tropical hot dog night.
Well, there goes the neighborhood. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. Yeah, Joyce is playing the little rap to get us going this morning here on the Dave's Gone By radio program of the air with me and of the sea. We have to think of another way to talk about it now, because if we're streaming live on Facebook, as well as going through our usual audio channels on UNC Radio, so you're thinking of the C for
Like
seeing visual, radio program of the face.
Of the social media.
Yeah, the web. Well, it's still web.
Electronic.
Yeah.
Of the air, both.
Of the polluted air. No,
of the air, both.
it's tough, right? I mean,
both ambient and electronic.
well, that gives us a whole different idea of what the show's about. I mean, if people were tuning into an ambient music program, it'd be Brian Eno all for 5 hours. Yeah. Anyway, that's my darling and adorable wife, Joyce. Hello to Joe Salzone, by the way.
Hello,
our
Joe
friend of the
Salzone.
neighborhood.
How are you doing?
A radio host who's actually successful in radio, as opposed to this guy. And Trevor, who's back at my old station, WGBB, which is now has a frequency on the FM.
It's like nostalgia day here with all your old gang and crew.
Not to mention, and a big, big happy birthday to my cousin Marnie, who is tuned in and saying hello, Marnie. Happy birthday to you. I feel so much more connected now that we're doing this.
Because you're on the social media, that's what people do.
That's right. I'm on that Insta Twitter
Don't
thing.
let them take your Twitter away.
Those whippersnappers.
That's
and
right.
Their MySpaces.
That's right.
And
you can tweet with the best of them, honey. Don't you let them get you down.
I can program in COBOL and BASIC.
You can get your DOS with your Mac that weighs 300 pounds.
That's right. Good. Hey, would you like to see my wang?
No.
Thanks. Anyway, I'm Dave.
I was going to say I've also seen your floppy.
Yeah. She's seen my floppy drive, yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's why she refuses my input. But no. And hi, Ivan. I don't know who this Ivan person is, but thank you for joining us. Anyway, this is the Dave's Gone By radio program of the something. I'm so used to saying it a certain way. But we've been doing this program for 15 years now. We started in October.
Gaga.
Radio Goo. Oh, they had the guy. I was just listening to Wait, Don't Tell Me this past week, and they had Brian May, the guitarist from Queen, who is, amazingly enough, for reals, an astrophysicist now in real life.
Who is that?
I know, right? Yeah. I'm kind of an asshole physicist because I was so bad in physics in high school and in college that
my physics teacher in high school was beautiful.
Oh,
you know the Miami Vice. He looked like not the Don Johnson character, but the other guy. He was beautiful.
Tubbs.
Yeah, and people were always like. People didn't like math or physics, but they loved his class because he was beautiful.
And we had a guy like that in our high school. He was, I won't say, his first name was Don, and he had...
Last name was Juan?
Well, but I mean, I didn't even have him. I mean, he was a man, so I wasn't interested. But the girls all loved him because he had this flowing kind of blondish yellow hair.
Maybe he was Thor. Was he Thor?
He did, because he had the porn stash.
He was Thor, I bet you. Yeah.
I won't say the last name, but I mean, not that I'm saying something bad about him. He was good looking.
Is it Thorwitz?
Thorwitz. No, this is not my elementary Hebrew school. This is my high school. Thorstein. And then Wonder Womanitz was his girlfriend. Gal Gadot. Yes.
I want that Wonder Woman doll we saw in the.
What
it was so pretty. I liked it.
It was a doll.
I liked it.
And it was scary. It was like this.
No, it had like it was an infantile doll when they have it was cute.
Yeah. I'm hoping people can hear her because Joyce is talking into the microphone for the radio. This is a radio program. You're kind of far away from the mic on the computer.
Talk,
No, but you need to be talking loud enough so that let me know, folks who are listening and typing in and saying hello, how the mics are on the computer. And hello, Darren. I don't know who you are, but thank you for joining us. So
give him a little mixtape. He wants the mixtape.
Oh, let's hear it.
Do for Darren.
Joyce got me this thing last week where you can kind of be a DJ and mess with the. Yeah. This is how Hank Shockley started. Anyway, for 15 years we've been doing this radio program. Stop it! Dave's Gone By. This is our 626th episode of the program. It's on this Saturday live. Oh, Joe Salzone says he can hear you just great.
Aww.
So I'm going to turn your microphone down, but no, I'm kidding.
Thank you.
No, I'm kidding.
Cooper.
Our
You
626th
should
episode.
listen. Tell Joe if he wants to come out and help with the tech and fix up. Does he know tech stuff?
No, that's not really
Aw.
techie. No. But hey, we got our stream back because the whole reason that we started this Facebook thing, which we weren't supposed to be doing. I mean, that's
No,
supposed
the
to be.
lady at the Boulder Fringe told you she did
Yeah.
it. She had a very small audience, but she was a great performer. And we asked her what the deal was, and she said most of her audience is everywhere. They can't make it,
Yeah,
to
they
the
were watching
venue,
on computer.
but they pay. So they would pay
Yeah.
her, and they would get a site. Remember, she told us, and then they would log in, and it was great. And she said then she recorded all her performances as well.
I asked my family to watch also, and they said, if you pay us, we'll watch
Oh,
you. Yeah,
that's a bummer.
that's my family right there. Kidding. But what's nice is now that we have our stream back, our regular audio stream for the radio.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that stream that's going on at uncradio.org. You've got to put it. You have to open the file in iTunes.
Yeah.
It's called Open Stream. If you're looking at iTunes, whether it's Mac or PC, just do Open Stream and you can
Mine
listen
is
audio.
different. Mine I just paste in the URL
If it
in a new, like you make a
Yeah.
new entry and you put the URL in.
If that works, fantastic. But you kind of have to. There's other ways because we should be able to be listened to even without iTunes. But that's the best way.
What?
Joe's having like a text conversation with us here, and Joe says, "Hey, at your age, it's amazing you have a stream of any kind.
Oh, listen here, you young
That's
whippersnapper.
If you saw the front of my underpants, you would know, Joe. So
Oh, tell
Rick-
him
yeah.
one day this could be him.
what it will be. He's
Except he
40
won't have
now.
he doesn't have as much facial hair like you.
That's true. That's true.
And
He has more
he
head
doesn't
hair.
wear plaid. I've not seen him in plaid.
I'm sure. Joe, do you wear plaid?
I don't-
Oh, my Auntie Essie. Hello, Auntie Essie.
Essie.
Hey.
Let's clap for Essie. Let's give
Let's give Esther the clap.
No, I want the kiss.
Oh,
You have the kiss. No, not
Oh,
the
here, use this.
rap
Okay.
one.
Yes. Let's
give
give
it-
Esther a big soul
Let's
kiss.
give a kiss. Wait,
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
Esther was your partner when you went to theater.
that's true. I took her when I went to New York this past week. We went to the theater to get. Hello, Karen. We went to the theater and I went to see with her. I think I took her to A Bronx Tale, which opened last year.
I
It's
love
actually
the
pretty good.
Bronx. Boogie down Bronx.
So that and I will be reviewing some theater in our Inside Broadway segment later today. Also, we're going to have our Bob Dylan Sooner and Later segment. We'll have a Saturday segue, a couple of them, including birthdays of some famous musicians who are having birthdays this week, and our In the News Saturday segue. We'll have Greeley Crimes and Old Times, but hey, how could I not mention? What?
You should do for listeners. You should have listener birthdays.
Oh my God, I got 4,000, well, 4,000 Facebook friends, so I don't know if, so far I seem to have about a dozen or so listeners, maybe more, at least on Facebook.
It's your good your turntabling.
Oh, Esther says, thanks for the wolf whistle.
Ooh, tell her she's a hot mama.
You are a hot mama,
I
Auntie
gotta
Esther.
find the kiss. Tell her. I'll find the kiss.
Look, Joyce is looking for the kiss.
No, not that
No,
one.
that certainly isn't it.
Is it this?
Do it.
Oh,
No, that's
Sorry.
certainly not that one.
there's a kiss somewhere. I don't know where it is. You have another one?
I probably have one of those in the bag floating around. So wait, we can do it. But how's
No,
that?
I'm looking
That
for
sounded good.
I'm looking for there's a wait here.
Oh, that's what happens when you start kissing. All right.
I know we had a kiss, tell her.
Well, we have a kiss somewhere in our Sound Machine archive.
I'm missing some of my gear.
Oh, well. Anyway, for the big news and the big story of this episode of the Dave's Gone By radio show, here we are live on this November 4th, 2017, is we have a special guest. There we go. And believe me, a lot of people wanted to kiss this woman back in the day, and probably still do.
Ooh.
I'm sure Harvey Weinstein still does. But our guest in the neighborhood
What's
today.
the one I don't like? The one from the American Beauty, the creepster.
Oh, well, Kevin Spacey. Well, he wouldn't be kissing girls.
Creepster.
I know.
Creepy man.
And I used to remember, I used to kind of work tangentially to
In the
theater.
biz. Used to work in the biz.
Right. And I knew someone who was an usher, and she's had the stories, this guy, and she was in love with him.
Kevin
Kevin Spacey.
okay.
She always thought he was a sexy kind of a guy back in the
Perhaps for the tragically nearsighted.
day. No, there was something sexy about Kevin
No,
Spacey.
he always gave you that creepster vibe.
Well, she liked him. He wouldn't have liked the likes of her, but back then he was in the closet. But then there was the story started, not stories like 14-year-old boy stories, but that he was, kind of ooky.
Creepster.
Yeah. Anyway, what the heck where was I going with this? This is not the best way to
You
introduce
were
a guest.
talking about the beautiful lady who you interviewed. Who was that? Was she on Dynasty?
I didn't interview.
Was she on Dynasty?
No, she was on Knots Landing.
Whoa.
We're talking about the actress Donna Mills.
Woo! We got to get a kissy sound from her.
Who will be with us in the neighborhood today, talking to the one and only Rabbi Sal Solomon about her life, her career, her doing other soap operas
Did she write a book?
or nighttime dramas, I should say.
Did she write a book? Is that why she?
No, she's doing theater.
What's she doing?
In California, you can see Donna. Now, this is the weird thing, because I grew up, I didn't watch nighttime dramas. I didn't watch
Knots
Dallas
Landing.
or Knots Landing. Wasn't my thing.
Mhm.
But back in the day, and it wasn't that long
She
ago,
was a beautiful
young
lady.
and beautiful,
Yeah,
sexy
beautiful lady.
people. Can you imagine that Donna Mills
Mm.
is out in California now playing Miss Daisy?
I
Is
thought
that weird?
I thought you were going to say arsenic and old lace or something. But
Close.
She could do it if she's in costume.
Well, the point is, the character of Miss Daisy, driving Miss Daisy, ages. I mean, she starts old and then
Yeah.
gets much older.
But then they put makeup.
Yeah, and she's a queen of makeup. She wrote books about makeup.
Oh, there you go.
So, it's easy for her. But it's just this idea of like, wait a minute, how can Donna Mills...
It's called the industry that's sexist.
No, there's nothing sexist about it. People grow old.
Yeah, but if you could get, who's that guy who went on stage and talked about his uterus? Remember he was like losing his mind.
That was Charles Durning,
So
yeah.
you could be him, and they put him in Broadway,
Yeah.
and he doesn't, and they know he's not right.
No, he went up on his lines and he made a joke.
but
He wasn't
I
not
don't
right.
think that's right. I think
What?
that's not. And poor Angela Lansbury, the goddess and the queen of all things theatrical.
Yeah.
They yanked the chain on plug on her.
No.
Because
Whoa. She yanked the plug on herself. She wanted to
Oh.
do a revival of a play called The Chalk Garden by
I wish
Enid
she would have done
Bagnall.
it, yeah.
But she was 91, and she realized that in order for the play to make money, she'd have to appear in it at least like 6 times a week.
And then you
And
told me
she's
if
not-
people don't appear as a star, they can get a refund. So then,
The audience can get a refund
Yeah.
if they're expecting Angela Lansbury.
well, couldn't
and
they
they get
just say like certain nights it would be Angela and other nights it would be somebody
well, they
else?
do that
Yeah.
6 nights a week, Angela. 2 nights a week, let's say somebody else. And those 2 nights, you'll still get an audience,
Why
but you
can't
won't
they
get.
make her a hologram?
Well, there you go. So she decided, you know what, it's too much for me at this. She's fine, she's healthy, no problem.
I love
But she
her.
wasn't going to do a show for 3 months, 6 nights, 5-6 nights a week. It wasn't. She's just not up to it. She's 91. You're a gerontologist, you know. People get older, they do have to slow down at some point a little bit, What? No, we're not going to euthanize Angela
No,
Lansbury.
that's you.
What? Why me? I'm
Because
saying.
you're not even, switch the topic. You're upsetting me.
You brought it
You
up.
always upset me every morning.
I'm not upsetting you.
Every
I'm-
day of my life, you upset me.
That's my job. I'm your husband, for God's sake. Anywho, but we do have the very vital and the still lovely Donna Mills, even though she's playing a no longer lovely and only slightly vital Miss Daisy in Driving Miss Daisy out in California for about a month and a half. So, for our West Coast listeners who liked her back in Knots Landing, who liked her in the first Clint Eastwood directed movie, Play Misty for Me,
He's scary.
was apparently very good. I never saw it, but it's apparently a very good movie about a disc jockey and a crazy lady who keeps calling him.
It's our lives. We should watch that.
I know. I should rent that one.
After the Captain Underpants, we'll watch that.
Oh, we saw that. Now we can talk about the big news of this week. Not that I went to New York last weekend. Not that there was a terrorist thing in New York, and that after I came back, and not that all this other Halloween.
They shot someone in Walmart here, 2 people, 3 people.
Yeah. I'm surprised people who work in Walmart just don't shoot themselves. Honestly. But we saw the Captain Underpants movie. Tra-la-la! Isn't that the most wonderful thing? Now, you were unimpressed.
It was so boring.
It was boring.
I wanted to put onions in my eyes.
Wait a minute.
It was so flat and so no
How
plot, no depth,
Well, of course there was a plot.
no entendre.
Whereas when I put double entendres in.
The
is where-
parents are watching. When the kids are watching, they
and we
want
can't put
some.
naughty stuff in there.
No, but you can put some at least deeper stuff.
They had a fart symphony.
That was horrible. I'm sorry.
No, you laughed. You thought that was funny.
I thought it was sad.
They
I
had all the
laughed for
students
sadness.
farting. No, there's
They
nothing.
weren't farting. They were on whoopee cushions.
Oh, yeah, that's true. No, but someone made a real one at the end. Remember? Someone lifted her cheek, and she, after the symphony was over, she let out a little one.
Nice.
It was beautiful. You watched it with them. Somebody burped all. They did because Professor Pee-Pee, what was his name? Pee-Pee Diarrhea-Steen Poopy Pants.
I don't think Pee-Pee was in there. I think it was just Diarrhea-Steen.
Oh, his full name was kind of longish, but the Diarrhea-Steen is a beautiful touch. So he was the bad guy. He was this kind of Germanic, sort of Nazi-ish. But my problem with it was that Mr. Krupp was a little too nice. He's the nasty, vicious, sadistic principal. And Diarrhea-Steen was a bad guy, but funny. I liked him. Nick Kroll did the voice.
He was just troubled. He needed some therapy.
He did. And then
troubled.
I was pissed off because I read reviews of the Captain Underpants movie after we watched it.
Of course.
And first of all, it got something like an 85 to a 90% yay on the tomatometer of Rotten Tomatoes.
Surprised.
So most critics liked it as
for people under 5.
Well, yes, under 5 or over.
Under
5. Well, mentally, I'm about 4.5.
2.
But there was one guy who said that it had no redeeming moral.
I agree. It was just boring. Well, the moral thing was that they were friends no matter what.
Right.
You know?
Friendship is important. Creativity is important. I thought that was there.
Creativity. Was
and that love can change people. What happened to Mr. Krupp at the end? He finds, not that I'm spoiling the movie for you.
No,
but,
don't tell people. Spoiler alert, tell them.
Yeah, but Mr. Krupp finds and that changes his personality and his lifestyle.
We don't know that. It just could be he's faking it. You know, when people go on first dates, they fake their attitudes and behaviors.
Yeah, first 3-4 dates, everybody's fake.
They're not really real.
Yeah. He just wanted to give her the old Krupp magic, if you know what I'm saying. I don't even know what I'm saying.
I don't know.
But you didn't find the movie amusing. I'm not saying hilarious.
Snooze fest.
No.
Even when I watched that one that was racist, the one with Abdul and the Queen.
I didn't see that movie. Yeah.
They're not deep enough. It's like, why don't they have like more complex? People are paid a lot of money to write plots. Why can't they write a good story?
What's your idea of a deep movie?
Remember the one? It was it wasn't Victoria. It was a film where the woman fell through time, so she would fall into different roles. Like she'd be a queen, or she'd be a different. It was
Isn't that Quantum Leap?
It was like that, but it was different.
Oh boy! Yeah.
No, but it was great. I mean, I think we need deeper.
It'd be nice, but
anything that played at Lincoln Plaza Cinema would be acceptable for me.
I mean, define deep can be too deep and boring and abstruse. You want deep? Go watch was it in Kaufman, Charlie Kaufman?
Wild Strawberries, like that.
That's pretty kind of deep. Okay, I'll give you. I always loved The Seventh Seal. That's one of my favorite movies all the time. I really don't know how deep it is. I like the plot. I like that this knight and his squire.
The problem with you is you can only follow one straight narrative plot at a time. You
I'm
can't
not
follow
good at
multiple.
Yeah,
I know.
Honest to God, I can't. That's why you like these murder mysteries all the time. Yeah. You like the Agatha Christie, the Columbo. I love
the multiple plots, and I like to figure out stuff.
And me, I watch them, and it's all surface, and I have no idea who the killer is. I don't even know who the hero is. I can watch a Columbo.
Because your brain is not connected.
I'll look at Peter Falk and like, is he the bad guy?
It's because your brain is not connected.
Thank you very much. By the way, hello to Karen from my old library, and Norman and me, or M-I or M-L. There are people on my Facebook. I don't know who they are, but they want to be friends of the neighborhood.
I love it.
And thank you all for watching and listening to the Dave's Gone By radio program with me, Dave Lefkowitz.
We'll make the signs for next week. Tell them we'll have
a nice for when we have music playing and stuff, and you don't want to watch me sit here with my eye bags.
I'll print it. I told you used to have to use the cucumber to some gel.
Who has time to put cucumber and gel?
We'll fix it. We'll fix it for next time.
Yes, I'll get plastic surgery and I'll get these.
Oh, don't touch that.
What? What do you mean don't touch it?
Just wear sunglasses.
Oh, it's erotic.
Wear sunglasses like all the people on my Love and Hip Hop show.
Yeah, doesn't Stern do that? He wears glasses when he's doing it.
I think sometimes in the morning.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But
yeah. So if you don't want to look at these eye bags, you look at my ears.
Signs that say like "Be back in 5" or whatever. You write them down for me and I'll make them.
Plus, I forgot to use my nose trimmer this morning. So if we can.
Don't show people that. No.
I'm just saying. There's a hair.
Tell them who else is going to be on the show.
Well, isn't it enough? We have Donna Mills talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon.
Awesome.
Donna Mills, famous actress. She's in California now. She was actually on Broadway too, and we'll be talking about that as well.
Was she in Little Foxes? What was she in?
No, she was in. Oh boy, I am blanking. Yeah. So we've got her. We've got all the great stuff that we normally do or abnormally do on the Dave's Gone By radio show. Let's see what else we want to talk about before we get to Greely crimes and old times. Everybody, if you haven't been told a million times, and I get I get head up about this. I get steamed up about this. tonight, late tonight, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, don't forget it's fall back time. So you've got to set your clocks back for daylight savings time or Eastern, Western, Meridian Standard Time. Why we're still doing this, I have no idea. Back in the day, I think it had to do with farmers having one more hour of daylight at a certain time of day. We don't need, why, do you know why we still do this? With, the clock turning.
I don't know. I think they want to eliminate it. It's so dark here. Like, I get up at 6 in the morning, it's dark. I walked home when you were gone in New York. It was dark, dark, dark. It's so depressing in winter. I think that they should extend, I don't know, but I think, like, even, this is the interesting part. Like, we work on Canvas, so we work on electronic platforms to teach.
Yeah.
And I always say MST, Mountain Standard Time, because people are everywhere. And I think unless you've moved in time zones or you've traveled, you don't realize that there's more than one, right? So, and like, it becomes a joke when you make a conference call. My calendar will sometimes change it, sometimes not. So I'm like, do you mean 11:30 your time or 11:30? I would prefer a standard time.
Well, like when I try and book guests on this radio show, I always use Eastern. Even sometimes I'm dealing with folks in California. Sometimes
you do EST, you say EST.
Yeah, Eastern Standard Time. Just because it's like, I'll have to do the math to change, 2 hours earlier where we are.
Okay.
But it's like, they know Eastern, I say Eastern, we're all looking at the same. Because I remember when Jane Siberry was supposed to call in.
Oh, yeah, she got confused.
Yeah, it was 12 hours difference. She called
my God, like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Because she was in another country at that point. I was like, oh. So, and I hate that. And I'm so sick of, and I've gone through this before, I've done this before, but of why certain things are still tape delay in terms of live broadcast. When I watch the Tony Awards.
Because of naughty language.
No, I'm not talking about 7 seconds.
It's Lily and Hellman issue.
No, it's not a 7. I'm talking about an hour or 2 hour delay.
I know.
When the Tony Awards airs in New York.
And you're doing it live here, it's already been done.
Yeah, I'm an hour old. I could go on Twitter and
you
see
could
who won.
Watch it on the feed, live feed.
I've done that. I do that. But if I'm watching on television, why don't?
What I think is that this is my strategy, my understanding.
Yeah.
These time slots are big money. So like if advertisers pay for certain time slots and shows want certain time slots, because think of what was that, Nielsen? They do all these demographic ratings where we want the 18 to 24-year-olds who are going to buy whatever, a new car, I don't know, whatever.
Sure.
Electronics, and then they want that. So they don't want to move their
it's like when
or it's too costly to buy that airtime.
The sports writer who has been on this radio program, Phil Mushnick, who writes for the New York Post, one of his things is, why on earth does Major League Baseball start night games at 8:30 or Monday Night Football is 9 o'clock at night Eastern time? Because it's 6 o'clock California. What? Sorry?
Did the Broncos win the other day?
I don't remember. I don't know.
They played.
Yeah, I know.
It was Monday Night Football.
But I'm saying it's like what I get from where we are now that we're far away from New York is if a show starts at 8:30 New York time, it's only 6:30 where we are.
People aren't home.
5 or so, or something like that. I still think it would be nice.
Can I tell you something? It doesn't matter because everybody can record their TVs now. What does it matter?
Yeah, but who wants to watch people do.
They
but
say,
who wants to watch a baseball game after
I
know they did that back in the day of Mets games on Channel 9. If it's over, it's over. Back in the day, you didn't know what the sports score was unless you physically turned on the radio, got the newspaper.
You ask your phone and you say, what are the scores? And it tells you in every game.
Which is why you can't avoid it now. 30 years ago.
But you're a Luddite.
It's like cab drivers who come home, they want to watch the Mets game at midnight. They'd be up and they didn't want to know the score. They could avoid it. Now you turn on anything, the crawl, Mets lose 18 to 2.
The Mets lose?
Well, it would be a shock if Mets won. Yeah. And hello Carly from another radio station in Colorado. She used to be here. So yay. And Carly, get me a job! Okay. And Brian and Elliot. Oh my God, Elliot, who was my actor.
T.S. Elliott?
In the one-act play that we did here. Hey, Elliot.
Good kid.
And Paul, who's a theater person, and I forget which website. But hello, Paul.
This is not like memory time, David.
I'm trying to acknowledge people so that they stay with the show, that they enjoy watching this program.
Maybe they want to be quiet. They don't want to be outed.
I'm not using their last names.
And they want to have a nice, quiet time and just listen and chillax.
Well, chillax, everybody who's tuned in to the Dave's Gone By radio show, thank you for tuning in. And for more information about the program, don't leave your stream, but you can also open up another window and go to my website, davesgoneby.com. So we're talking about turning
Hey,
the clocks
are
back.
they ever going to do another one of your plays in Chennai?
I haven't heard back. Gabriella was watching our show last week. Haven't heard from her. So Gabriella, tune in if you can, but haven't heard anything about that.
Okay.
So I'm hoping it would be nice.
Well,
they have my
at least
permission.
before Collins Fringe and do some of the New York Fringe, right?
Yeah, I can't think about any kind of theater or
Okay,
festivals
so
until I finish teaching this
Okay.
semester.
Okay.
So once that's over in December, I'll take a moment to breathe and I'll see if I want to bring Long Johns back or I won't have time to write and memorize something else, but I'll see if I want to do something else. It would be nice.
What about your flaming knife dance?
My flaming knife. Well, it took me 3 months to recuperate from the last flaming knife dance.
Your application of salve.
Please remind me of
What?
that when we get to our Greeley Crimes and Old Times, because there's kind of a story
Great.
related to that
Okay.
sort of thing. So we won't want to miss that. Why don't you want to get to Greeley Crimes and Old Times? Because I talked about
Sure.
Underpants, which is the important thing.
Okay.
So we do and Claudia. Hello, Claudia, who is a fellow compadre here at UNC, who co-teaches in the department where I am an adjunct.
Awesome.
Yeah, totally awesome and great. And thank you, Joseph. I don't know who that is, but hello, Joseph, and hello, everybody. Let's get to our
Play the
first
Tom Waits.
official.
Play the Tom Waits.
I am going to. This is for. See, I'm sort of my own tech here on Saturday mornings here at the University of Northern Colorado, where we are in Greeley, Colorado. Northern, about an hour. Greeley, an hour and a half north of Denver. So we like to do this segment called Greeley Crimes and Old Times. A little bit of Tom Waits music to open our Greeley Crimes and Old Times segment, which I do not make up out of whole cloth. It's not out of my head. We have a newspaper here, the Greeley Tribune. That won't hire me, but we have. But they do have a couple of columns that are worth reading.
Yeah.
One of them is they're very cool. They go into.
You know what their tagline is?
What?
We spell check our writing.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
They do, as opposed to the
Sometimes,
UNC Mirror.
I know.
That was horrible. Last entire month, because the Mirror comes out once a month
I
now.
know. There were a lot of spelling errors.
And right on the front cover of
I
the
know.
Mirror, I forget, Segues, they spelled seant. How do you do that?
You don't.
Yeah, well, yeah,
You don't.
that's why.
Continue.
That's why we're at UNC, yeah.
Breathe. Breathe.
Okay. I am an adjunct English professor, so I see stuff like that.
You like to read the good words.
Makes me crazy. Anyway, but I do like to read. Oh, hey, Dave, says Claudia. Hi. So I do like to go into the Greeley Tribune for 2 columns that they do every week. One of which is Cop Log.
That's a horrible.
Isn't that the best name
That's
ever?
the worst name ever.
And what it is the dispatch of Greeley and Weld County Police Department. They get phone calls in saying, help, we need help. And some of them really do need help in ways that they
And
don't
never,
imagine.
Never were truer words spoken.
So they collate or they collect the most weird, eccentric,
But they're
funny.
not violent. They're not graphic.
Generally
It's
not.
not like anything really.
No.
They're just people who need help, but maybe not the police to help them.
Because the cops shot a guy in Greeley this week, but that was a real story. That doesn't go into
This
this column.
is like people who need to get like they have a squirrel that's giving them like stink eye or something.
Yes.
That's like the level, or wayward chickens roaming the neighborhood, right?
That happens.
So
And
what's the other column?
the other column that we go into is put together by Mike Peters, or as Joyce calls him.
I don't give him no Captain Underpants name anymore.
All right. Okay. Well, anyway, the nice thing that he does is he dips into our local newspaper back in 1917 for a column he calls Greeley 100 Years Ago. And these are a lot of fun because it's what they were writing about, Weld County and environs, including a place called Celeryvale.
And sometimes you can't tell the difference. That's the sad part.
Yeah. I used to try and trick
Yeah.
Joyce and say, well, was this now, last week, or was it 100 years ago? And I could try and finesse it. But when I say, Greeley police received a phone call from, it kind of gave away the game that was recent and it wasn't 1917.
Yeah. Then the hermit who lived under the rock, and they don't like
Well, that's recent.
Hobos are all the old, Greeley olden times.
Yeah.
And then now we get, because of the war, 100 years ago, they talk about a lot of spies, and so it's very
like a World War I stuff.
It's pretty easy to kind of differentiate who's who now.
So until Kim Jong-un attacks, it's kind of obvious if they're talking about a war.
To figure out where we're at, yeah.
So we call it Greeley Crimes and Old Times, and we just kind of have fun with it. They're goofy to begin with, so we're not making fun of the column itself. The column is already tongue-in-cheek, which is enjoyable. Well, depends which cheek. But anywho, police received a call from 28th Avenue.
Wait.
The caller reported people selling ceviche out of a nearby garage.
Oh my God!
What?
You don't sell like raw seafood out of a garage.
I love bathtub ceviche. Back in the LAS days, it wasn't so good, but what?
No, when we were in Hawaii on the honeymoon, we went to this place. It was like right off the beach.
Yeah.
It looked like the octopus was still living, and you ate all that stuff. I thought you were going to die on the plane.
3 hours before going on the plane.
And you slept like a baby.
Yeah.
You slept like a baby. Nothing bad. I don't even know if that stuff was even cooked. It was. Yeah.
It was fresh out of the ocean sushi in Hawaii. What could go wrong?
Oh my God. They make spam sushi.
Yeah, musubi, of course. Yeah, yum num nums. Well, no, I don't like it that much. I like fish. I like raw fish.
Go ahead.
But anyway.
So what, they were selling ceviche out of their
Well,
backyard?
when police investigated, though, and this is on 28th Avenue, so if we're up for lunch today.
Oh, good, okay.
They found the ceviche sellers. It's the first time I've ever heard that compound word. These ceviche sellers, quote, did not appear to be violating any laws or ordinances.
Oh, good.
So come get your garage, your bathtub ceviche. I wonder if they have a still like Hawkeye in MASH.
No.
I haven't had ceviche in a long time. I should have that again.
Have it at Lucky Finn's.
I might if we go there later. Police also received a call from 18th Street. The caller reported a woman dancing and stripping on the sidewalk. The caller asked for a callback with updates.
That's disgusting.
Oh, she's taking off one bra strap.
Oh my God.
The police are on the phone.
What? 18th and what? 18th and what?
And put that in there, somewhere on 18th Street. So
Oh my Lord.
I'll be wandering around that neighborhood.
Maybe she had the ceviche.
That could be. 2 Cheyenne men, so we're moving a little far afield here, were seriously injured yesterday near Wellington when their car, I only put this in because I love the verbiage on this, being an English professory kind of guy. 2 Cheyenne men were seriously injured when their car turned turtle.
Oh.
Isn't that a wonderful description?
But it went slow?
No, it went turtle. It went,
Oh,
you know
it
how a
turned
turtle looks?
capsized.
Yeah.
Oh.
Their car turned turtle.
Is that an analogy, a simile, a metaphor? What is it?
Oh, crap. I guess it's a metaphor because it's not like a turtle.
Went turtle.
Yeah, it's a metaphor.
I don't know.
Claudia, help me out on that one. The men were smuggling whiskey into Weld County, but all the bottles were destroyed. Speaking of the war and things like that, a German young man in Fort, here's my favorite place. You have to say it with me, Fort Lupton.
Fort Lupton.
Lupton. Everybody say it together with me, Lupton.
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 I love that word, Lupton. German young man in Fort Lupton has been drafted into the army and will be forced to fight his relatives in the Great War. For some people, that's a blessing.
For you, that's every family dinner, right?
He has 23 relatives fighting for Germany.
Wow.
And the man asked for an exemption from the military, but it was denied.
Wow.
And he is headed for training camp.
Yikes.
So he's going to,
But
kill
they say
some
that
future
happened
Nazis.
in the Civil War, too, right? That it
Well,
was brother against brother, yeah.
It happens, I guess.
Wow.
And I hope he killed most of his relatives, to be honest.
Wow.
Because they're the bad guys. Anyway, get ready for it. And
I don't have the clanger.
do you have the Halloween one from Halloween? The
what do I
scary
need?
ooky one.
This one?
Because we have a nightmare alert.
Wait. I know what it is. Let's see.
Oh, that's good. Try a screamy one. Yeah, that's good. Nightmare alert.
Wait.
Yeah. I don't know if you can hear the sound machine on this. Yeah, you can play one of these. Oh, here we go.
No, we play the woman. You gotta look at it.
With my eyes, I can't at this point.
The first one.
Oh, the first one is the woman screaming? Okay, here we go. There we go. Nightmare alert! Nightmare alert.
Oh, that's a
Nightmare alert. That is a good one. Police received a call from 24th Street. The caller reported a bat stuck in a spider web.
Ew.
What did you figure a bat could get out of a
But
spider
also,
web?
how big is the spider web that the bat got stuck?
Well, Charlotte was doing it. It's kind of big.
I love Charlotte's Web. I cried so much about that pig.
Well,
gosh.
the pig lives.
I know, but it was such a traumatic thing for a child.
Yeah.
All those movies are really torturous for children.
So when we watch Captain Underpants,
Yeah, but
here's a movie.
that's like getting that's like frontal lobotomy.
It's not. It's cute. It's amusing. It's funny. They make jokes about school funding, which are kind of smart and kind of a wink at the parents. Remember, and the monotony of school, like in Pink Floyd's The Wall, they kind of make fun of that too.
You're overinterpreting.
But here you're talking about Charlotte's Web and these kids' movies that make kids cry. And Charlotte's like Bambi. Let's kill the mother.
That's every Disney movie.
Right, exactly. Lion King too. He loses the father.
Nemo, someone got ate by somebody, a shark or something.
Well, Nemo, he gets lost. Nothing that bad happens.
But isn't he an orphan fish?
No, his daddy. Well, wait.
I don't think he has a mommy.
He doesn't have a mommy. That's
so
right.
See, the Disney films are always like.
And he has Albert Brooks for a father. Is kind of scary in the first place.
That's horrible.
Yeah. So
He's in fish therapy school. He ran away purposefully.
Anyway.
Uncle Harvey.
So what? How do we get? Oh, a bat and a spider web. How do we get to that? I just like this image of a poor bat that's all kind of It's like two horrible things in one.
I know. Ugh.
But this is the opposite.
Oh.
This is going to be an alert. Oh. Everybody get ready. Those of you watching at home and listening at home. Oh. Here's an awe alert. Police received a call from Center Place Drive. The caller said she had just seen a cat dive into a nearby sewage drain. She asked for officers' help in rescuing it. If the cat was rescued, she said, she would adopt it.
Oh. And meanwhile, she wasn't wearing her glasses, so it was a rabid raccoon going after a prairie dog.
That's right.
She took it home and was infected with rabies.
Because it was in the sewer.
Yes, I know. Like, what are you thinking? Lady.
The things people will go through for a little pussy. Anyway. Thank you ever so much.
It mixes them up.
Let us travel.
Look at this. Look.
Yes.
I'm hitting the different one. It's doing different buttons. It mixes them up.
Oh, no. At least it still does the boing in the bird. I like that. Well. You always ask me about how things are going in New Raymer.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Well, here's some news about New Raymer.
Well, Old Raymer, too.
They're making fast progress toward becoming the metropolis of Eastern Weld County. I think we know how that went.
Not so good.
The town will have a new flour mill, waterworks, and electric light plant. I'm saying New Raymer will be the next Celeryvale.
I bet you.
I think so.
I think they're in
absolutely
competition, yeah.
Anywho. Man. Oh, this is big. This is enormous, folks.
Oh, wait.
No. Hobo alert! Hobo alert! Hobo alert, ladies and gentlemen. We generally get these from the Greeley Old Times portion of Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Hobo alert! Hobo alert with our special Bear Pride bell. Hobo alert! A new vagrancy law will be imposed in Greeley, Eaton, Windsor, and Johnstown.
Man.
That means any man who is able to work but is found loitering, strolling about, or leading an idle or immoral life is a vagrant. These men will be forced to work on the street labor gangs.
You know what we call
What a fun
them?
town this was. Yeah.
They're called actors. Thespians.
Tenured professors.
Hey.
Anywho. And boy,
Man.
and oh, guess what? It's a double today. We have another hobo alert.
Whoa.
Hobo alert! Oh, go figure. We have a bell from UNC and it doesn't work properly. Hobo alert! Hobo alert! Oh, work that clapper, baby. Yeah. Hobo alert. 10 count them,
Wow.
10 well-dressed vagrants.
Everybody's crazy about a sharp-dressed vagrant.
Well, they were ordered to work for farmers for $5 a day,
Wow.
but they refused.
They didn't want to get their clothes dirty.
The town marshal ran them out of town because they could have been arrested for violating the new vagrant law. But they were, if you're well-dressed and you're walking on
Yeah,
the
but
street...
they're not. They don't have a job. They don't know anybody, you know.
I'm sorry, it's a free country. You're allowed to walk around. You just can't go asleep on the street. Says I.
Or you can't do pee-pee or doo-doo on the street.
Well, I do, if I have to. Anywho.
What happened to that runner who used to make doo-doo?
Oh, I haven't heard about her. The mad pooper of, she was in Boulder, wasn't she? Let me see. Why don't you tell the folks about, what, no?
You can do it next week.
Okay, well, we'll update the mad pooper story from Boulder on the next episode of Dave's Gone By. So we have other stuff. Since we're moving far afield from Greeley, let's go even further afield for Dateline, Alabama.
Wait, hold on.
The Limestone County Sheriff's Office has made an arrest in a burglary dating back to mid-March.
Whoa.
Investigators got lab results back from testing that they say confirmed the thief's identity. James Marlon White, age 35, is being held on $10,000 bond. Investigators were called in for this burglary on March 16th. The homeowner told investigators that White forced his way through a walkout basement door and took a shotgun he found in the home. The homeowner confronted the burglar, who dropped the gun and ran out of the house. Investigators say, this is where it gets good, folks. Investigators say the man vomited on his way out the door.
Yeah.
So investigators sent a sample of the vomit.
I'm sorry, that's disgusting.
To the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences for DNA testing. Those tests were confirmed that the burglar was James Marlon White.
Whoa.
And the vomit to be Quiznos, by the way.
Oh, God.
I'd like to be the policeman who deals with that.
It's probably better than a lot of the other stuff they see, so.
It's like, preceded by the words, oh, rookie.
I know, that's right. Who's the newest person?
Oh, man.
Did you bring your hip waders and a shovel?
So we have the mad puker now as well.
That's disgusting.
Well, I get, some people who aren't career criminals, they get nervous.
Well, they should, because you shouldn't be a criminal. You should vomit and get caught.
Well, or,
oh, no.
And this is from this week, from the New York Post, reporting from, I think, the Chicago Trib. A clumsy Chicago crook, Terrian Pouncey. What a great name, Terrian Pouncey. I wish he were from Fort Lupton, but he's not.
A running one. I don't know where the running one is. Wait.
There he goes. 19-year-old Terrian Pouncey barged into a hot dog restaurant. And the name of the restaurant, and this is such a Chicago name, Original Maxwell Street Polish, on the city's south side.
I find that offensive.
How do you find that offensive? That's the name of the restaurant.
What is it, Maxwell Street Polish?
Yeah, like
Maybe
Polish
it's Polish.
sausage. Polish, oh, it could be. I doubt they polish that place. If they're serving sausages and hot dogs, it's got, it's Chicago. It's sawdust, it's relish, it's mustard and stuff all over the place. And weird kind of pizza that New Yorkers won't want to eat. Anyway, according to the Chicago Tribune, I tried to remove some of the puns of this one. They actually put too many puns in this news item. But he whipped out a small caliber pistol, grabbed the customer's cell phone and wallet. Well, Terrian then tried to stuff the pistol back into his pants.
No. Wait. Wait, give me a second.
This is a true story, folks. The pistol went off twice, shooting him in the thigh and in the penis.
Oh, goodness.
He was forced to call 911 for help.
Wait.
And
At
now
least he had the guy's cell phone.
he's being held without bail and without balls. No, he's can you imagine shooting your penis
You
off in a
remember
robbery?
that there was a video clip of some SWAT guy and he had like an AK-47 in a school, and he was holstering it, and he like shot around everything.
Yes, I believe it. And I remember that. I mean, it was real. That was great. Some police officers doing a school safety.
Yeah, like gun safety, and he had like the AK-47, and he like shot up everyone.
Police, we're doing Greeley crimes all times, by the way. We're returning to Greeley. We've gone to Alabama, then Chicago, now home sweet home in Greeley, Colorado. Police received a call from 72nd Avenue. The caller said she left her purse in a hotel in Nebraska. Now,
Why would you call that?
Why would you call Greeley police? I don't know.
Okay.
Well, dig this. This is actually way cool. The hotel agreed to ship it to her.
That's great.
But she lives in Evergreen. And the hotel sent her purse to Greeley.
Why?
I don't know. It doesn't say why. So she asked the Greeley police to help her pick the purse up.
Where's the purse?
And I guess the Greeley, even the address in Greeley, or the Greeley police station.
Okay.
Officers did so, and they noted, and this is beautiful bit of language here, quote, woman and purse reunited, an honest transaction.
Oh.
Isn't that lovely? So
what she gave them then?
What's that?
I can't find it. Hold on.
Oh, Joyce is looking. Oh no, she dropped her noise machine, our mutual noise machine thing here.
Oh.
We need a purse transaction noise. What would that be? Okay, that sort of works.
And then after they saw her,
yeah,
they did this to her.
Hallelujah. No. No, she wasn't black, hon.
And then she was doing this.
Yeah. There we go. Oh, here we go. Oh. Here we go.
Right.
Police received a call from a store on 10th Street and 26th Avenue. So that's going to be right around the lamp store and I think
that's 11th.
Yeah, well, 11th backing into 10th is where you turn on 11th and it goes into 10th. Isn't that where all the baseball sports bar used to be? And
no, that's 11th. You're thinking of 11th. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine. So
10th is like where
was 10th and 26th. Oh, maybe it's on the other side of the street where Taco John's.
And like that.
No, that's all the way up.
But that's 35th, like Egg and I and the.
Yeah, I think maybe where Taco John's and those places are.
Okay, yeah.
Well, somewhere,
in there.
Police received a call from a store there, hopefully not a restaurant, because the caller said a man was in the store's bathroom shaving his private parts.
How do they know that?
Because I called them.
But
I nicked myself. It hurt.
But I think you don't know what people are. How do you know?
Somebody must have gone to the bathroom.
Yeah, but you would, if you're in a stall and you have the door shut, you don't know what someone's doing.
Well, obviously he wasn't in the stall. He was probably sitting on the sink.
Well, that's okay.
With an
At least he's not in the vestibule or somewhere.
I don't know. I don't want to know. It's like,
so wrong.
Yeah, kind of a hairy story there. A 70-year-old farmer near Hungerford in Weld County. See, the Hungerford people should go to Celeryvale, and they won't be hungry anymore. He has been arrested for cattle stealing. He was accused after the sheriff lowered a brand inspector into an abandoned well on the farmer's property.
What kind of person, what kind of job do you... That's like the worst job. I'm going to lower you into a well on a rope to check out some branding on cattle.
Exactly. I swear to God, this is what they did. And he found 3 cow hides with brands from the farmer's neighboring ranches. So he is believed, the bad guy has believed to have been stealing cattle for at least a year. Wow. Don't have a cow, man.
That's bad.
Have 3.
That's bad.
But I guess a bad job.
Dr. Pole will come up there and shoot up the cows and some stuff.
Although I guess when little girls and things fall down wells, that's what they had to do. They had to lower a person down.
No, it makes sense, but it's not a good job.
Yeah. It was years before Hannibal Lecter or what's his name, James Gumb had the basket technique where you could lower the basket and pull up the plump person.
Because I'm sure like rotting or tanning cowhides in a well smell really good.
It's Greeley. Nobody would notice.
It wasn't Greeley.
Oh, you're right. This is Hungerford in Weld County. Yeah. But when the wind blew from Hungerford, it mixed with the JBS plant and gave us a beautiful wafting odor.
Lovely.
Anyway, where are we? We're doing Really Crimes at All Times is where we are. Police received a call from 5th Street.
Yeah.
The caller's neighbors were, quote, putting oil on the trees in the caller's backyard.
Maybe maybe it was to prevent the bugs, like the aphid bugs.
Maybe like eucalyptus oil that smells bad or
yeah.
something. Unless if it was gasoline, I would be worried.
That's weird.
Who puts oil on trees?
I don't know. I know when you prune a tree, you have to protect the pruning from stuff, but
Maybe it was Harvey Weinstein's. I just want to massage your trees.
maybe it was essential oil to help the tree. Like
Maybe.
it was tea tree oil. That makes sense.
Because trees like tea.
Yeah.
Especially like the oolong.
They like to spill the tea, those trees.
Get along, little tree. That's a little bad humor there. Thank you ever so much. See, folks, I'm actually a professor or an adjunct professor at UNC. These are the jokes I make in class. This is why I get evals that say 1.
I think it's time for your milkshake.
Well, yeah, we're almost coming up on 10. We'll do this till 10 o'clock, and then I've got so much else to do. Remember, if you're watching the Dave's Gone By radio show, we have actress Donna Mills on the radio program today, talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon. We've got our Bob Dylan Sooner and Later segment. We're going to go inside Broadway, and we have Saturday segues of songs in the news, as well as birthdays. I don't know, someone named Miles joined us and said, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you?
Oh, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you?
Oh, probably the haunted stuff.
Got your time and let's play a thing from. Here we go.
Yeah.
This is like their thing.
Scoob! I always wanted to do the Casey Kasem voice. Well, thank you for joining us, Miles, and Abriel, and Steve, and Claudia, and Joseph, and all those others. I can't scroll back, but all the fine folks who are watching us and listening to us doing Greely crimes and old times. We're going to do just a couple of more. Well, you know, we've had in Boulder the Mad Pooper. Now we have someone who might be related here. The police received a call from 8th Street and 10th Avenue. Now we know where that is, 8th and 10th.
Yeah.
The caller loaned a car to someone known only as the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, because, you know, David, when I'm going to loan maybe 2,000 to 50,000 piece, you know, 100,000, you know,
a Toyota
dollar
Camry
piece of equipment, I'm going to not get someone's name and have a nickname like the Mad Hatter, especially the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, because that's who I would give a vehicle to.
That's a really, like, you know, that's, you know, you wanted to bring the Mad Hatter home to your parents in your stolen car.
Well, the idea was the Mad Hatter was going to drive to Walmart, presumably before the shooting.
Oh, no, that's Thornton.
Oh, right, you're right. The caller received word that the Mad Hatter was instead going to Fort Collins.
You know,
hopefully, you can buy a looking glass.
And you never give anyone enough gas so they can leave the county. That's like step 1.
That's a good idea.
You know,
that's right.
You have to say like it's like 2 miles to empty, and then you give them the car, so you know they're not going that far.
I love that. You're right.
Because someone named the Mad Hatter might not have a lot of free cash for gasoline. I'm thinking, like, doesn't have a Sunoco gas car.
But he was late. He was late for a very important date. You know. I don't know.
Don't come around.
No more. No, don't get petty on me. Anyway, the police received a call from a church on 17th Avenue. The caller said, I can't believe this. The caller said that a youth group was making cookies.
What?
And they wanted to bring them to the police. Wow.
Wait, why?
What do you mean, why? It's a youth group. They wanted to give cookies to the cops.
Oh, I thought you meant like he was reporting them, saying that they made cookies. He wanted to bring the youth group to the police.
I guess the caller wanted to know.
I was like, oh my God.
Well, arrests were made and 3 black children were killed.
Wow.
But, no, I kid. But
no woman, no cry.
No cookies, no cry.
That's horrible.
Now I want a cookie.
You know, I'll tell you, listen, David.
Me want cookie.
Like, I don't like chocolate chip cookies. I'm not a cookie fan.
Wait, how can you not like
I don't care for cookies.
Yeah.
I prefer bread to cookie.
All right.
So I'm sitting out in front of the UC talking to my saintly mother on my cell phone.
Yeah.
We're jibber jabbing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I smell like chocolate chip cookies baking. So I don't know who bakes them, but there was a lovely, lovely smell.
Isn't it a nice smell?
Yeah, we can buy some chocolate.
You know what I like even better than chocolate? I would love to bake cookies.
Let's get cookie dough mix.
Because what I would do is I would eat the batter before it even became cookies. That's the best.
Really?
And that's why the genius who invented soft batch cookies had the best of both worlds. Because he or she remembered that it's the batter that's so good before you even cook it.
Batter, the slab of cookie
batter.
Yeah,
the Pillsbury. We never do it. Who's going to eat a cookie?
Sells that, the cookie batter slab.
I might do it. I'm too lazy. I got after the semester's over. Maybe I'll bake some
what
cookies.
What flavor shake you want when I go?
I want the chocolate shake, because that's what I want.
We're going to go for food, so no snack.
No snacky, just
if they
just
have
my
tea,
shaking.
I'll get you tea.
Get me my mint tea, please, also. Are we at 10 o'clock? Oh, my God, it's 9:59. Should we do one more?
Pick the best one ever.
All right.
And then I want you to write your expressions for your signage when you're away, and I'll.
Well, when I'm
I'll
playing
make it,
music,
yeah.
I'll do that. But let's see. How
Or
about?
just text it to me, and I'll make it for you. Okay.
Got it.
Oigame.
Oh, I'll text you. Yeah. As the county tries to get the right of way to build a road to Hardin.
Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, okay. There's some kind of joke in there. I've got to work on it. But a woman who owns the property was arrested for making threats. She wrote in a letter to the county road overseer, quote, "The last time I used red pepper and a buggy whip to defend my property."
I love her.
Yeah, right?
I get the red pepper and a buggy whip.
Next time, I plan to use a shotgun.
Whoa. But I guess she put the red pepper on the buggy whip, so when she smacks people, it burns.
Yeah, well, actually, her red pepper had a bump stock, so she could fire seeds. Yeah.
I like her. Listen, a woman out in the prairie or on the plains here, and people putting roads on your property, I love her.
A woman alone with limited wind and the worst peppers in Weld County. Ah, sir, times is hard. Times is hard. No, times are good. Times are hard and Hardin.
That's beautiful.
So I did make a pun right
Very
there.
funny.
Thank you ever
Good
so
job,
much.
honey.
And that, my friends and friends of the neighborhood, is Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Greeley Crimes and Old Times here in the neighborhood, where it is 10:01 in the morning Mountain Time, just after noon o'clock Eastern Time. Thank you to all of you who are listening on our radio feed at UNC Radio, and also to the folks who have joined us on Facebook Live. Here it is November 4th, 2017, the 626th episode of the Dave's Gone By radio program. We're calling it Grist for the Mills, because Donna Mills will be our guest.
That's a good title.
Isn't that a great title? Yeah. Well, the mills of Dave grind slowly, but they grind exceeding smelly, I think. But remember to unlock the thing back. So we've got so much to do. We've got Donna Mills coming. We've got our Bob Dylan sooner or later segment. We've got our In the News Saturday segue. We're going to go inside Broadway. But let's start with some music first, because we like to do Saturday segues honoring birthdays of musicians. And I couldn't decide this week. Sometimes, it's feast or famine of how many musicians and people who have birthdays in a coming week that we want to honor. And usually we pick one, but we have so many amazing birthday people this particular week that I'm just going to do one song by each. So let's begin with one of my favorite absolute all-time artists. I got the wrong thing on my iTunes here. There we go. Neil Young is was born on November 12th, 1945. So he will be turning 72 years old on Thursday. A couple of little known facts about Neil Young. His middle name, did you know? I mean, it's a wiki. You can find it on a wiki, but his middle name is Percival. Neil Percival Young. Did you know that Joni Mitchell, his friend and co-Canadian, Joni Mitchell, was inspired to write her classic song, The Circle Game, by his near-classic song, Sugar Mountain? I did not know that. And also, did you know that Neil was offered $1 million to play the 1994 Woodstock, the one that they nearly burned down, but he turned it down because he thought that particular Woodstock was too commercial. So, pretty cool stuff about Neil Young. We're also going to honor a couple of other birthdays, including the aforementioned Joni Mitchell, because it's her birthday. She turns 74 years old on Tuesday, November 7th. Wait a minute. Neil Young is November 12th. Is that next week? I may have made a boot. No, it is. I think I need to check my facts on this. Anyway, I will do that while music is playing. So let's begin, though, with Neil Young. This is a cut from one of his, arguably his best or second best album, After the Gold Rush. But this is not the version that you hear on After the Gold Rush. You have to go to his archive, that giant box set that he put out, to hear this version of Neil Young's song, Birds.
days that never come today. When you see me fly away without you, shadow things you know, feathers fall around you and show you the way to go. It's over. It's over. Nestled in your wings, my little one, is special. Morning rains and yonder sun. Tomorrow, see the things that never come. Today, when you see me fly away without you, shadow on the things you know, feathers fall all around you and show you the way to go. It's over. It's over.
Give me a ride, give me a ride, give me a ride down the hill. Give me a ride, give me a ride, give me a ride down the hill. Could take a plane, could take a train, could take a limo, could take a bike, could take a boat, could take a sub. Give me a ride, give me a ride, give me a ride down the hill. Give me a ride, give me a ride, give me a ride down the hill. Could take a car, could take a bus, could take a motorcycle, could take a helicopter, could take a tractor, could take a snowmobile. Give me a ride, give me a ride, give me a ride down the hill. You're the one that's giving me the ride. I don't know how to drive.
And from Wildman Fisher, we now go to something completely different.
Light up your lazy blue eyes. Days up, nights up, taking the town by surprise. Nighttime, they left an hour ago. City lifetime, must you get ready so slow? There are places to come from and places to go. Night in the city looks pretty to me. Night in the city looks fine. Who's come stealing out of the street? There's no flashing in time. Take off your stay-at-home shoes. vintage crowds in the street. They go their way, looking for faces to greet. But we run all laughing, with no one can meet. Night in the city looks pretty to me. Night in the city looks fine. Come stealing out in the street, colors go waltzing in
Come on, let's merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round. Boo, 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 merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round. Boo, 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 merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round. Boo, 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 me and you can go merry-go-round. It's very easy, just go up and down. Come on, let's merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round. Boo, 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 merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round. Boo, 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 merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round. Boo, 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 everybody's going merry-go-round. Let us go, oh, up and down. Come on, let's merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round. Boo, 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 merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round. Boo, 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 merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round. Boo, 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 Mary taught me to go merry-go-round. And now I'm going a merry-go-round. Come on, let's merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round. Boo, 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 merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round. I say let's merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round. I say let's merry-go, merry-go, merry-go-round.
Richard was Detroit in '68, and he told me all romantics meet the same fate someday, cynical and drunk and boring someone in some dark cafe. You laugh, he said, you think you're immune. Go look at your eyes, they're full of moon. You like roses and kisses and pretty men to tell you all's pretty lies, pretty lies. When you're gonna realize they're only pretty lies, only pretty lies, just pretty lies. Put a quarter in the Wurlitzer, and he pushed 3 buttons, and the thing began to whir. And a bar making buying fishnet stockings and a bow tie, and she said, drink up now, it's getting on time to close. Richard, you haven't really changed, I said. It's just that now you're romanticizing some pain that's in your head. You got tunes in your eyes, but the songs you punched are dreams. Listen, they sing a love so sweet. Oh, love so sweet. When you gonna get yourself back on your feet? Oh, love can be so sweet. Love so sweet. But you got married to a figure skater, and he bought her a dishwasher and a coffee percolator, and he drinks at home now most nights with the TV on and all the house lights lit up bright. I'm gonna blow this damn candle out. I don't want nobody coming over to my table. I got nothing to talk to anybody about. All the dreamers past this way somehow. I can get involved in dark cafes, dark cafes. Only a dark cocoon before I get my gorgeous wings and fly away. Only a face, these dark cafes.
What a happy little number there from Joni Mitchell, one of my favorite songs of hers of all time. The Last Time I Saw Richard from her classic Blue album. We're wishing a very happy birthday on Tuesday to Joni Mitchell. She turns 74 years old, which is actually a great thing, a real blessing, because about 2 or 3 years ago, we thought we were going to lose her. She had this, Morgellons disease, and she was in really, really terrible shape, and we thought that we would see the end of her.
I got you schmearfuls.
Well, hold on. Joyce just came back from, I guess, Einstein's Bagels, and
I got you schmearfuls.
she got me something called schmearfuls.
One is maple with plain cream cheese
Oh,
in the middle.
Yeah.
One is everything with cream cheese, and one is plain. I didn't get you jalapeno to burn your tum-tum.
Oh boy. Well, here. Let's sit on mic so we can talk about
Easy.
schmearfuls.
Try them.
It sounds
Your
like.
spoon's in there for your shake.
I think Joseph Papp used to get schmearfuls at the Public Theater.
Pap smears?
They were Pap schmears, yes. That's funny right there. What is this?
You like
Is
it?
it? Oh, it's an interesting.
It looks to me like a donut hole, but there's cream cheese on the inside. They heated it up.
It sort of smells like Indian food.
Well, no,
Did you sniff this?
you're smelling the maple. That's the maple
No,
one.
smell. Tell me if that doesn't smell like a papadum or something.
Oh,
or,
it's the
Is it
yeah,
sesame
that's
or
in
a poppy?
everything. You have a plain.
Ooh.
You have everything plain, and you have a maple one. I didn't get you the jalapeno because you said it burns your tummy.
It would.
It's hot. Be careful. They heated it up.
This is pretty good.
Yeah, they just came in.
Right.
I tried it. No, I don't want it. I got it for you.
Thank you. Oh, now I have to talk. Oh boy.
Do you want coffee?
I got. Thank you very much.
You could use this as a new mustache if you want.
Oh, thank you for this. This is tasty. This is very nice.
Try the maple one.
Well, after I finish or do you want to try the maple
No,
one?
take a bite. You could just.
Oh, there's 3 of them in here. Wait, there's
The
a
other
maple.
one's plain. Maple. with
Okay, I can't tell which is. This is plain, I guess.
Let me see the other one.
Oh, this is maple.
Yeah,
Right.
I think.
This
I don't
smells
know
like
if
maple.
it's maple or has maple cream cheese. And then she said they're new.
Okay,
So I
hold on.
wanted you to try it. Too sweet?
No, it smells like maple, but it tastes like plain cream cheese, but it's still good.
Oh, then maybe the other one's maple. Yeah.
Mm.
That's okay. Well,
Anyway.
I just thought they're light, but I wanted you to have something.
Yeah, yummy.
The last one's either plain or maple, and all they do is they heat them up in the microwave. And they have different flavors of them. They just have they have jalapeno, maple, everything, and plain.
Well, nummies. Thank you.
Yeah.
This isn't everything but with cream cheese in
It's
it.
just neater to eat than a bagel, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, because in bagel you got the stuff and the butter
They're
is
schmearfuls.
everywhere. Yeah,
I'm
and then
gonna
you got
go,
locks
baby.
falling on the board, and that's not good. Unless you have a key to open the locks. But these are the kinds of jokes I make. This is why. That's why every time I walk into my classroom, I'm like, which of them is going to be active shooter targeting me?
Nobody, because you're beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you, darling. You're beautiful, too. That's my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, who gets me these delicious things. They make me happy. Look, I'm smiling.
Well, I thought it's not too much. It's not too heavy, but it's something.
Yeah, no,
for
they're
a long
yummy.
show.
Yeah, thank you very, very
I
much.
thought it would be like a snack.
Mm.
And it was something
Perfect.
new. I said to her, what are they? And she said, they're schmearfuls. And I said, what's in them? And she explained it. And I said,
I'll
take all 3 of everything. She said, take 1 of each and try them. She said, and then she didn't get the jalapeno. She got the other one.
Yeah, that would be, And unlike that guy who shot himself, who now has a jalapenos.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Jalapenos. That's a little humor there. Yeah, that's kind of stuff I do, ladies and gentlemen, on the Dave's Got My Radio program.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you, hon. I will give you a call when the show's over, probably about 12:31-ish, as usual.
It doesn't matter because we're not meeting anything that has a time limit.
So
whenever you're done, we'll go.
Okay, sounds good. Love you, Ben.
Okay, enjoy your schmearfuls.
We have to say that no matter what. Enjoy your schmearfuls. Yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, we're talking about Joni Mitchell, whose birthday is on Tuesday. She turned 74 years old. And I was saying that she was very, very deeply ill a couple of years ago. And she's better. She's been out in public. She's gone to concerts. What color? Chocolate. Yeah. Brown. Chocolate.
What color do you want your signs?
Oh, what color?
Let's say Dave's come by.
Oh, I would say something that Joyce is asking me
because yellow?
We want yellow. Yellow could work. Sort of match what my underpants look like and use that yellow. Anywho. What the hell am I talking about? Thank you. Yeah. I wonder if that's showing. Wow, that looks so cool on the video. Joyce is flickering the, as you can see, the lights here in the studio. This is kind of neat. It's like I'm doing this from Studio 54 back in the day. I'm 53 years old, so it'd be Studio 53 here in the neighborhood with me, Dave Lefkowitz, wrapping up our Saturday segue of birthday songs. Happy birthday, Joni Mitchell, who is feeling better and is not making music anymore, but I think she's painting and she's going around and she's having a life. So God bless her and let her live a zillion more years. We also played some Neil Young there. We played an unreleased version until the archives of his came out, an unreleased version of the song Birds. But unfortunately, I made a big mistake. I was kind of dumb in that I was in New York and I was underslept. So I was doing a bunch of things this week and I probably didn't concentrate enough. And I jumped a week ahead when I looked at the calendar. So Neil Young was born on November 12th, 1945. So he will be turning 72, but not this week. He's turning 72 next week. So we're going to save some more Neil Young numbers for then. But, and also I jotted down, my other person I was going to honor is Chris Smither, a wonderful folk singer-songwriter guitarist who has been on this program, but his birthday isn't until next week also. So had to kind of work on the fly here and instead played 2 Joni Mitchell songs. Also played The Last Time I Saw Richard and her wonderful song, Night in the City, from her very first album. I love that song. And in between, yes, that voice you heard, that unmistakable voice, was the late Larry Wildman Fisher, who was born November 6th. I don't have the year, but he would have turned 73 years old if he had lived this Monday. He died back on my wife's birthday, actually, June 16th, 2011. I can't believe it was that long ago that we lost Wildman Fisher. And I'm one of those weird people who loved his music. I never got to meet him, thank goodness, because if you did and you were stupid enough to give him your phone number, you would get 20-hour phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning because he was mad. He was diagnosed as both paranoid and schizophrenic, which apparently cannot coexist, except they coexisted in him. And yet, when he had what he called the pep, when he was excited about life, he had, and before he was so totally on meds that he could kind of float through life normally, but he lost the creativity that allowed him to make the great songs that he would sing on the street corners in California back in the early 60s when Frank Zappa discovered him, dragged him into the studio, and made a 2-record set called An Evening with Wildman Fisher. That remains one of my favorite albums of all time. Mostly a cappella, mostly Wildman Fisher doing these things, these original songs that he would sing on the corner or at Dodger Stadium for a dime, and in his unique, inimitable voice. And if you go to the Wikipedia page, I am the guy for Wildman Fisher. I'm the guy who put in the bit about him appearing on Jimmy Kimmel back in, I guess it was 2008, 2009, where Jimmy Kimmel had no idea who he was. He was just having like a talent showcase for weird and crazy eccentric talents who weren't supposed to be quote-unquote good. But they brought in this guy, Larry Fisher. I recognized him immediately. I wonder if maybe 2 people in the entire audience knew who this guy was. And he started doing monkeys versus donkeys. And he won over the crowd. They loved it. I mean, in its eccentric, unique, wild man fishery way. And that was really the last time. I think he did 1 or 2 public appearances after that in concert situations. But that was really the last time people got a good look at Wildman Fisher at his best. Was on that Jimmy Kimmel show almost a decade ago. And so if you read that little bit on Wikipedia, I'm the guy who put it there. So I'm proud of that. Anyway, someone named Jeffrey, hello Jeffrey, has tuned into the radio/Facebook show and says, hi Dave, love the Irish. I have no idea what the hell that's in reference to, because Neil, is Neil Irish? I don't think so. Joni might be. Wildman Fisher was Jewish. Don't know. Anywho, thank you for that. And thank you, Jeffrey, for saying you made my day. I assume because I was playing Wildman Fisher doing Merry-Go-Round. And also, give me a ride down the hill from the Fisher King collection, Wildman Fisher, on Dave's Gone By. And hello, Steve. Our friends Lynn and Steve are listening out in, I think, Oregon. So hello to you all. To those of you checking out Dave's Gone By, if you're new to this program, remember that we've done 625 previous Theses. And they're all at my website, davesgoneby.com. DAVESGONEBY, davesgoneby.com. You can listen for free. You can download them as a stream or an MP3. They're podcasts, essentially. So you can either stream them on your computer, or if you want to download them and take them portably, you can do that as well. It's all at the website in the archive section, davesgoneby.com. We even have a separate archive there of just the interviews that we've done. You know, we've got Donna Mills coming up later in this episode of the show. So, you know, if you miss it or you want other people to listen and they can't listen live right now, just go to davesgoneby.com and find it there. You can also drop me an email, davesgoneby@aol.com. And, of course, check us out on Facebook. Radio Dave Lefkowitz is the Facebook page, Radio Dave Lefkowitz. And again, we thank everybody for tuning in and joining us and enjoying Dave's Gone By on UNC Radio. So, yes, I promised Donna Mills, and I know we have some Bob Dylan music to play, and we have another Saturday Segue to play. But one of the other things that we like to do every single week here in the neighborhood is celebrate the American theater and Broadway. It's what I've done for 30 years. I used to be the managing editor of Playbill.com, and I've written for a bunch of theater journals, and well, not academic journals, but theater journals and magazines. I've been an actor, a director, a theater journalist, theater person for a good 30 plus years of my life. And therefore, I like to share that, the joy of theater and Broadway and such things. Which leads us to our next segment, Inside Broadway. Inside Broadway, a look at theater in New York, Colorado, and beyond, brought to you by TotalTheater.com and Performing Arts Insider, the Bible of Broadway. Yes, Inside Broadway we go. Because, you hear about movies everywhere, right? And about the latest Lorde record and the new albums coming out. But how many people, unless it's Hamilton, talk about theater? Well, I care about it, and I talk about it. So I'm going to let you know some theater stuff. For example, Moulin Rouge. Remember that Nicole Kidman film directed by Baz Luhrmann? They're turning that into a musical, and it's going to get its pre-Broadway tryout at Boston's newly renovated Emerson Colonial Theater. And that's going to be happening this coming June 2018. The book is by John Logan, who is adapting the film. Alex Timbers is directing. The cool thing about John Logan directing Moulin Rouge, I don't know if this is by accident or not, but remember that John Logan wrote the play Red that was on Broadway a couple of years ago about the that depressive artist painter who is something with a K. He would do these things that they were all squares, and it was a big red square, and then it got more and more black and red and fewer colors, and then he killed himself. What the hell was his name? Somebody who's listening, please type me the name of that artist so I don't have to Google it on the computer I can't reach. Not Oscar Kokoschka. It was, Oh boy, Alfred Molina played him on Broadway. Anyway, John Logan wrote this play Red, and now they've got him writing the book for Moulin Rouge, which of course, rouge means red. Well, I like that kind of stuff. Go sue me. Anyway, the story of Moulin Rouge is about a cabaret star in early 1900s Paris, and her love story kind of thing. The Emerson Colonial Theater opened in 1900 with a production of Ben-Hur. It is apparently the oldest continuously operated theater in Boston, Massachusetts. So it's great that they've renovated it, and it's great that they put, they're doing stuff with it now, and they're going to put in Moulin Rouge in a pre-Broadway tryout happening this June. Nobody's typing. Please, somebody type, who is that painter? It's going to kill me. It's Rothko. There's a K in it. It doesn't start with a K. Mark Rothko. The play Red was about Mark Rothko. This is what happens when you get into your 50s, folks. It's not fun. Anyway, speaking of something that starts out fun and then doesn't become so much fun, was a play written, if you can believe it, 50 years ago called The Boys in the Band. It's a landmark gay play that was produced in 1968. Mart Crowley wrote it. It opened, I guess it must have played Broadway back then. I know it played off-Broadway. And they will have a revival, a Broadway revival of The Boys in the Band, opening at the Booth Theater this May. So it was just announced for, I wonder if it's this season or next. Because if it's May, it probably just falls into next season. I'm not 100% sure about that. But anyway, Joe Mantello, one of Broadway's go-to directors, he will stage The Boys in the Band, and it's going to feature Jim Parsons, who we all know, of course, from The Big Bang Theory, alongside Andrew Rannells, who was just in that revival of Falsettos on Broadway that you can watch on Great Performances in a week or two, because they taped that. The plot of The Boys in the Band, very simple. They bring a bunch of gay men. They're having a party. I think it's somebody's birthday party. They're all hanging out in an apartment together, and they're laughing and they're joking and they're goofing on each other. And then in the second act, they get really depressive and bitchy and angry and upset. And so it was this landmark gay play, because they weren't doing very many back in 1968, that broke through to an extent commercially. William Friedkin, I think, ended up directing the movie version of it. I could be wrong about that. But anyway, Boys in the Band, on some level, it's really stereotypical in the sense that they're effeminate and eccentric and crazy and goofy and lovable and funny. And then it's also kind of stereotypical in that they all hate themselves, which is something that the gay LGBT community tried to get away from for the next 50 years, that they can be proud of themselves, that being gay wasn't a disease, it wasn't a curse, it's just who they were. Back then, Mark Crowley and other gay playwrights, I guess, were hashing out those issues. So it should be pretty interesting to see how The Boys in the Band looks in 2017. I know they did an off-Broadway revival of it 15, 20 years ago that I saw, and it didn't mean anything to me. I happen to be straight, and I just got kind of sick of them complaining and whining and screaming in the whole second act. But you know what? Maybe we'll have a new, fresh perspective on this, as some people are getting from the revival of Torch Song that's off-Broadway right now. Anyway, that's happening this May at Broadway's Booth Theater, The Boys in the Band. I want to say a big thank you to someone in the theater. He has not died. So this is cool. Usually I do these things like, oh, we lost someone in the theater, they died, we have to say goodbye to them. We're saying a happy kind of goodbye to a fellow named John Chatterton, the founder of the Midtown International Theater Festival, which was going to have another edition this summer, but they ended up canceling it, and the festival, the Midtown Festival, is canceled for good. In a message on his website, John Chatterton wrote, "When you get to be 71, you accumulate a few dings on your person, with some people more dings than others, some dings going deeper than others. And when you start to feel like my first car, a 1965 Dodge Dart, and which he got back in 1979, you know it's time to reevaluate your priorities. When I started the Midtown Festival in 2000, I was making $65 an hour as a tech writer on Wall Street. Now, I'm on Social Security and can no longer underwrite the budget out of my own pocket. John Chatterton moved to Massachusetts a few years ago, and he doesn't want to commute anymore. Also, he was sued last year. He doesn't say by whom, but I guess it was some theater company that was doing the Midtown Festival. So he doesn't want to deal anymore. He ran the off-Broadway review, the Uber review for a few years as well. He ran a couple of theaters in Midtown. If anybody remembers Where Eagles Dare, they were on 36th Street between like 8th and 9th Avenue, and the beginning, I guess, of the Garment District or the Button District, something in that area. So John Chatterton says, "Thank you, New York, for giving my life meaning for 24 years. Thank you for the opportunity to serve that occasionally fickle muse, the theater, in all the roles I've experienced. Good luck and God bless. We'll be in touch." Well, again, I never had a show done in the Midtown Festival, but it was always nice that there was a second, smaller festival that wasn't as chaotic, wasn't as splayed out and crazy as the regular New York International Fringe Festival, which had about 250 shows going at one time and was spread out over 50 theaters. And they put, at least in the early-ish days, you'd go to see a small show with 2 people in it, and barely an audience for it, and you have 4 audience members sitting in a room for 500, and it killed the poor performers on stage, So, and they even last year didn't do the New York International Fringe Festivals. I always complain from an artist's standpoint that Fringe Festivals cost a lot of money. You raise it on Indiegogo, you raise it on Kickstarter, but here you are, you're bringing product to this festival, and it costs hundreds of dollars just for basically a rental of the space for 2 or 3 or 4 performances, right? And you mostly have to do your own advertising because the festival advertises itself, but not really individual shows. And so the artist gets nothing from it. You can pretty easily lose money if you're going into a Fringe Festival. You don't do it to make a buck. You do it just to get, because it's what an artist does. You want to be heard. You want to be seen. It didn't really occur to me that the reason these Fringe Festivals are charging so much money to the artist is because it's tough on them. And it costs so much money, I guess, for insurance and for maintaining their own spaces. And they have volunteer ushers and stuff, but there's still some people who work full time. I don't know, but I guess the money goes. Theater's tough in 2017. So farewell to you, John Chatterton, in a work way, but at least in a person way. You're alive, you're well, you're living in Boston, Massachusetts, and hey, if you open up a little tiny theater in Boston, I've got a couple of plays for you. We'll talk. Anyway, speaking of theater, a Broadway show opened this past week on Thursday at the Vivian Beaumont Theater at Lincoln Center, their Broadway house. It's by Ayad Akhtar, the Pulitzer Prize winner for his last show called Disgraced. Doug Hughes directing Junk at Lincoln Center. What is Junk about? Well, junk bonds. And it's about ruthless capitalists during the Reagan era, the me period, the era when capitalism just ramped up to 150 miles per hour. And of course, Ayad Akhtar has some issues with that. So how did the play do? The show premiered at La Jolla Playhouse in early 2017. Stephen Pasquale, whom you might remember from the Bridges of Madison County musical on Broadway, he stars in the show along with anybody else that you guys would know? Probably not. Not a lot of known names in the play, but there's a lot of people in the play. You don't get plays like this anymore where there's like 25 actors up on stage. No one can afford to do that except institutions like Lincoln Center and the Public Theater. So it's great that that's happening, but how did the reviewers like this new play, Junk, by Ayad Akhtar? And the overall consensus was pretty good. Not great, but worth seeing pretty good. For example, Marilyn Stasio, the critic for Variety, wrote, "This slickly directed production captures the electric energy that fueled these aggressive acquisitions, but she also complains that there are too many one-dimensional characters and not enough characters on stage that we actually care about." So it's got that zip, bing, bang, boom, boom kind of feeling which is exciting in the theater, even in a 3-hour play, but she also wishes there was just more stuff and more human interest in it that would hook us in. Daily News critic Joe Demanowitz, who has been a guest on many of our Tony Award shows here in the neighborhood, said that Junk was, quote, accessible, but not illuminating or surprising. He did say the staging is, quote, crisp and fluid, but it's an impersonal, chilly drama. However, the acting is uniformly fine, says Joe Demanowitz of the Daily News. Ben Brantley of the New York Times was on the fence, not in love with the show. He found too many cliches in it, and he found that the dialogue lacks Akhtar's usual snap. Of the Wall Street Journal, Terry Teachout, who is a playwright himself, he was mez on Junk. He said the cast is so big, it would have taken Shakespeare or Tom Stoppard to wrangle that many characters, and, quote, Akhtar is talented, but not that talented. Of the Daily Beast, Tim Tiemann wrote, if you've seen the movies Wall Street or The Wolf of Wall Street or the Broadway show Enron, you've seen most of the vital elements of Junk. However, there was a rave. The rave comes from Entertainment Weekly's Isabella Biedenharn. Wow, what a name. Isabella Biedenharn. She says, despite flaws, Junk is an enthralling production that will stick with you after the final bow. So, as I mostly say, unless I see something really terrible, go. Make up your own mind. Go to the theater, have a night out or an afternoon out, and hash out on your own whether you felt the characters were too one-dimensional, whether the playwright could have plucked 5 or 8 characters out of the show and made something even more compelling, or if it has given you a ton to talk about mergers and acquisitions and the way things were in the 1980s. So, I went to the theater this past week when I was in New York. I was in New York for 5 days, and I dragged my ass to 11 shows, not all of them on Broadway. I'm going to tell you about a couple of them, but not before I remind you that the Inside Broadway segment of Dave's Gone By is brought to you by Total Theater, this wonderful company that does 2 great things. First of all, there is a website called TotalTheater.com, and this is a place where you can read thousands of reviews. Broadway, off-Broadway, off-Broadway, regional theater, international theater, festivals. All you got to do is go to TotalTheater.com and click in the Criticopia section and just start browsing review after review, including bunches of Broadway shows and currently running shows. In fact, there's a link to click What's New. And if you click that link, it's shows that are still open and running all across America and even across the world. So go to TotalTheater.com, check that out. Also, for people who are in the entertainment industry, Total Theater puts out a very cool journal called Performing Arts Insider, which has been the Bible of Broadway since 1944. This is the place that folks who are booking for theaters, booking for TV talk shows, they open this journal and they're like, aha, all the information they need about every single show on the stages of New York is in Performing Arts Insider. There's a table of contents, an index, but also a chronological listing of when every Broadway off and off-Broadway show is opening, starting previews, closing, changing casts, and the big comprehensive listings in the middle of the magazine. This is what people really dive into, because you can't find this stuff on the interwebs. You can open a dozen windows on your computer. You're still not going to find all the information in Performing Arts Insider, including not just what the casts and the designers and the tech people are for Broadway and off-Broadway shows, but how do you contact these folks? Who are the press agents handling these things? Who are the managers and agents handling the actors? And how do you get in touch with them? It's all there on every page of Performing Arts Insider. So for more information, please go to performingartsinsider.com, performingartsinsider.com. It's not cheap. It's a journal. It's not like People Magazine, $3 on the newsstands. But people who subscribe to PAI, they renew year after year because they know they can't get this anywhere else in the same way. You can get a single copy of Performing Arts Insider if you go to the Drama Bookshop or the Theater Circle Bookshop in Manhattan, or you can also send away for one. The instructions are at performingartsinsider.com. So again, it is the Bible of Broadway. Well, speaking of Broadway, I did go to the Broadway Theater this past week in New York. Give me a moment. And I'm going to tell you about what I saw, or at least a couple of the shows that I did get to see. And by the way, hello again, Charlie and Carlin, who have tuned into our Facebook page. Great to see you. I saw, just before it closed last weekend, Prince of Broadway, which is a revue pastiche musical of great moments from Broadway shows that were directed and or co-produced or produced by the great Hal Prince. As a matter of fact, Hal Prince has every right to do this because Hal Prince directs Prince of Broadway along with Susan Stroman, who lent a helping hand. So, just need to soothe my throat a little bit. Prince of Broadway is a Manhattan Theater Club production done at the Samuel J. Friedman Theater, their Broadway house. Now, they have wanted to do Prince of Broadway more than 5 years ago, and they were raising the money to get it done, and they couldn't do it. They couldn't fully finance it because it's a big show. I mean, you're taking pieces from huge musicals like Evita and Fiddler on the Roof, and I think a little, well, certainly Follies is in there. I'm trying to remember Phantom of the Opera, and It's a Plain Superman, which nobody's heard of, and other musicals that are entire worlds unto themselves. That's part of the magic that Harold Prince brought to these shows originally. So they tried to raise money to bring it to Broadway a few years ago. Didn't happen. They tried it out ultimately in Japan. And then they were able to bring it to New York in kind of a somewhat scaled down way. And that's the one knock I have on Prince of Broadway, this Broadway show. There's something a little airless and missing and spare about it. And I think the reason is that there's only one ensemble number, and it's the opening bit from Company, one of the great scores, if not one of the great musicals of the past, it's more than 50 years now. Well, no, almost 50 years. But Stephen Sondheim and George Furth's Company. But other than that, there isn't a chorus. They've got about half a dozen good singers, good actors, including Chuck Cooper up there, doing scenes, but they're usually solos or two-person scenes from all these musicals. And what we miss and what we're not getting from this Prince of Broadway show is what Jack Bertel calls the noise. We don't get those glorious tradition numbers from Fiddler on the Roof, for example. We get the opening song of Cabaret, but that's still just the MC and a couple of people behind him playing those instruments. There isn't that big, boisterous Oklahoma-y number. I mean, Howard Princeton direct Oklahoma. But I think you know what I'm saying. Every scene is pretty good or sometimes really good in itself. But we get a little tired. We're like, okay, a duet here, a solo here, another duet, a solo, a ballad. And we're missing over a good 2.5 hours this explosion of people and color on stage. And it really feels like that's the one element I have to say that's missing from Prince of Broadway. The best moments, there's an excellent version of Ladies Who Lunch. I forgot to write down the woman's name, but yes, we all know Elaine Stritch owns that song, but she does really, really well with it. And there's a nice, very early in the show, they do Heart from Damn Yankees, which is another show, an early show that Harold Prince directed. They don't even do anything for Pajama Game. It's weird. You hear somebody singing Hey There on a radio for 2 lines. And they could have done Steam Heat. I guess maybe they had it and they had to cut it out for time. They do Heart from Damn Yankees, and that's a lot of fun. And Chuck Cooper is really cool in that as like the manager who's trying to buck up his players who keep losing games. And then he's also great in a duet with Karen Ziemba from the great Sweeney Todd when he does My Friends. She shows him the razors that he left behind 10 years ago before Benjamin Barker was sent off to prison. And he opens the box and he's like, you are my friends. Meanwhile, she's a lot more interested in him as a warm body than he has in these weapons of revenge. But it's a really good duet from Sweeney Todd that they do. It's fun to see Tonight at 8 from She Loves Me, the musical. And I mentioned before this show no one has seen who's under like 60 years old, called It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman. And boy, based on the number they do in Prince of Broadway, that's a fun show. They should revive that. I think they tried it at the York Encores, so I don't know how the whole show pieces together, but it got great reviews on Broadway when it opened. As a matter of fact, they mention this in the show, that It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman got a money review from the New York Times back then, and other excellent reviews, and yet it still flopped at the box office. Sometimes you just can't tell. But anyway, based on the song that they did, I would totally want to see It's a Bird, It's a Plane, Superman. And I guess the other thing that most critics pointed out about Prince of Broadway that was lacking is the whole format of it, the setup, that each of the actors in the show, at the beginning, they come out with a pair of glasses on, just like Harold Prince would wear, and they each take turns being, for a moment, Harold Prince, and they spout some platitude about working in the theater. And, you know, if anybody has the right to sprout platitudes about the greatness of theater and how important it is to have a good work ethic and to get up in the morning the day after a flop or a hit and start work on something else. I mean, that's huge, great. But almost everything he says is like, okay, so what? You know, tell us a little something deeper. He doesn't have to dish dirt, but give us an anecdote that only Harold Prince could tell us. I unfortunately never got to see the Sondheim on Sondheim show that was done a few years back. I think that had a lot more marrow to the bones of it than this Prince of Broadway did. So anyway, am I sorry that I went to see Prince of Broadway? Of course not. Did I have was it great to hear If I Were a Rich Man from Fiddler on the Roof? Was it great to hear Cabaret? Was it nice to hear the Kiss of the Spider Woman title song? Was it kind of cool to hear a parade song? Absolutely. But overall, I can't say, you missed something amazing if you did not get to see Prince of Broadway on Broadway. 3 stars from me here in the neighborhood in our Inside Broadway segment. Something that, not quite 3 stars, but quite entertaining, is an off-Broadway show I caught at the West Side Theater. And I'm mentioning this now because you have until tomorrow to catch it. And it's a musical comedy with emphasis on the comedy mostly, called Curvy Widow. And it's all about exactly what it says. It's this rich, well-to-do, Upper West Side Manhattan woman who is married to a famous writer, so she's living a perfectly fine life, but then he dies. And everything about where she is and where she lives reminds her that of her old life with her husband. And she has to grieve, and she has to mourn, and get over it. And so she leaves her apartment, and she moves downtown, and tries to get into a whole new set of friends. And most importantly, after a while, it's time to start dating again, and having sex again. Gasp, in your 50s. Oh. So she does. And this musical, based on a true story, is all about how this woman tries to meet men, and not just for a long-term lasting relationship, but just get laid now and then, which her psychiatrist tells her to do. And some of the musical is a little too broad, the jokes are a little too on the nose, and sometimes it's a little more subtle and more heartfelt and real than you think. It's not a musical that's going to make you cry or even tear up, except maybe in the early parts when she is first getting over this big loss. And there's a chair in her living room that she hates now because that was his chair, and that gets to you a little bit. But most of it is zany, crazy fun. She does meet a guy who's like the dreamboat guy. He's really good looking. He cooks. He wants to be her soulmate, but will he be? It's a perfectly entertaining show. You won't remember one piece of music from the show. That's not to knock Drew Brody's score. It's just to say that you remember the character and all the crazy stuff she goes through. The music, sometimes it's passable, sometimes less so, sometimes kind of amusing. I can't say I would run out and even download the cast album to Curvy Widow, but I did enjoy watching it. But here's the thing. After the show was over, on stage, they brought Bobby Goldman, who is the woman who wrote the book for this musical, and it was based on her memoir. Bobby Goldman is the widow of the writer James Goldman, the guy who wrote The Lion in Winter and I guess a couple of screenplays and other things. So this was her story. And James Goldman, she is his widow and has moved on over the several years since his passing. And she came up there and I'm like, okay, here comes a talk with the author, and the audience will ask questions, and some audience member will ask something really stupid and I'll want to be somewhere else. Well, Bobby Goldman took the stage after this musical, and I would have, with all due respect, I would have liked to have seen an hour and a half of her. She is so funny, so honest, so upfront, so zany about everything, about her marriage, about her sex life, about her, because here's the deal. I just did an interview, not on the radio, but I had to write it up for a magazine with, I'll say the name. I'll say Toni Braxton, who is a pretty popular African-American singer, entertainer. And she was great fun, and she was very amusing and great to talk to, very nice. But I asked her, because she has had financial troubles twice, she declared bankruptcy. I did not think it was too much of me to ask, hey, how are you doing financially? And she was like, how can you ask that? How dare you ask me about my finance? That's like asking me what my favorite sexual position is. So, of course, me being me, my next question is, what is your favorite sexual position? Somehow we moved through that and talked about other things. But if you ask what Bobby Goldman, what her favorite sexual position is and how often she does it and with whom she does it, she'll let you know in the funniest possible way. So first of all, I'm begging the press agents to put Bobby Goldman on this radio show because we need her. And second of all, she should be out there. This is the next Wendy Williams. I'm telling you right now. So Curvy Widow, 2 3/4 stars. And no, it's actually a mild thumbs up, as Siskel and Ebert would have given it. But Bobby Goldman, 2 thumbs up. She needs to be out there, front and center, doing more stuff because she's wonderful. Okay, and I got one more show. Do I have one more Inside Broadway review for you? Oh, I mentioned that I did get to see A Bronx Tale on Broadway at the Longacre Theater. That show opened back in December of 2016, so it wasn't this season on Broadway, but I'm coming to it kind of late. And I always mention this show because its 3 creators have separately been guests on Dave's Gone By: Chaz Palminteri, Glenn Slater, and Alan Menken. It's directed by Jerry Zaks, although Robert De Niro had a hand in directing, to an extent, the musical itself, because he was involved, obviously, in the movie version of A Bronx Tale. And I wasn't expecting too much when I went in to see the musical version. I loved the Chaz Palminteri solo. His one-man show, A Bronx Tale, is one of the best one-man shows that I've seen in all my years of theater going, and I mean that. So, I'm like, does this need to have another permutation? Because I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard the movie is really good. Do we now need a musical of A Bronx Tale? And I would say we don't really need it, and it's not as good as the solo, but it's better than I thought. It's not as powerful or memorable as the solo, but, I was caught up in it. Some of the songs are pretty good. Nick Cordero is really, really good as Sonny, who is the mostly bad guy / good guy, that young Calogero, who is the Palminteri character when he was young. He's this Bronx kid. He's got this hardworking father who's very moral and doesn't want his son having anything to do with the Italian mafiosi and hoodlums who are kind of running the neighborhood. But this kid, in a way I won't mention, ends up getting entangled, but wants to be. He looks up to the head mafioso because that guy is looked up to. Granted, it's from fear rather than respect and love, but still, being looked up to and treated nicely is kind of a nice thing. And he does look out for young Calogero. I can barely pronounce it myself. Young Calogero. This Sonny character does. He does make him almost like a surrogate son. And that's the nice thing about the musical, is they've got the meat of a good conflict here, a son with essentially 2 fathers. And each father has wrong things about them. One father, even though he's the good moral guy, this is 1950s, he's kind of I think 1950s, he's kind of a racist. And he won't let the son date a black girl that the son wants to date. Meanwhile, the other mafioso says, hey, you've got to go with your heart. And he tells him how to pick up girls and how to take a girl in and out of a car, or know if she's going to be serious or if she's someone you should dump immediately. But at the same time, this guy is a shakedown artist and actual cold-blooded murderer. So you've got some conflict there. I do recommend the show. It's got a Jersey Boys meets Memphis vibe. My issue, one issue also with the show, and it has to do with a lot of Broadway orchestrations now, is like when I saw Prince of Broadway, the orchestra, a real orchestra, was in the pit. So they sounded a little muffled, but it was in the orchestra. And the singers, the vocals, however they mic'd them, it was pristine. I don't think I missed a word in Prince of Broadway, even in the ensemble singing, which is tough. In A Bronx Tale, kind of the opposite. Couldn't make out a word anytime more than 3 characters sang together. And even sometimes the regular singers, it could be hard to understand the lyrics. So, little slap on the wrist to the sound engineer, sound designer for A Bronx Tale, and a thumbs up to the sound designer for Prince of Broadway. Anyway, just wanted to let you know about those 3 shows. I told you I saw 11 plays and musicals when I was in New York last week. I'm going to save a couple more for next week's Inside Broadway segment, but it's 11 o'clock already. Right now, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. I can't believe it. Here in the neighborhood, we're finishing up our Inside Broadway segment here on this November 4th, 2016. And I want to end with this because this is your last chance. You've got the matinee today, tonight, and then a matinee tomorrow of War Paint, the musical at the Nederlander Theater on Broadway. This is the show written by Doug Wright, Scott Frankel, and Michael Corey, which is the war between Helena Rubinstein and Elizabeth Arden, the makeup queens of America from, the last century. You would figure 2 Jewish refugee immigrant women would get along and would help each other, but they hated each other and battled each other, but they both became empire runners, as it were. So they did this musical about them. I never got to see it, unfortunately. I would have liked to, because hell, Patti LuPone's in it, and Christine Ebersole is in it. They are the 2 leads, of course. Douglas Sills, John Dossett. It was supposed to run until December, because it was selling okay. It wasn't gangbusters, but it was making about $500,000, $600,000 a week, enough to do the operating costs and start paying back the backers. Problem was, Patti LuPone has been playing in pain. Wow, talk about alliteration there. Patti LuPone has been playing in pain for a couple of months now. She needs hip surgery, and she's just like, you know what, it can't wait. So they're closing the show a few weeks before they really, really wanted it to. If you want to see War Paint on Broadway, you better see it by tomorrow, where it's closing after 33 previews and 236 regular performances. Let's get out of Inside Broadway, and before we bring in Donna Mills, which is so appropriate because she's written books about eye makeup and how she made up her face back in the day and even now. So from the musical War Paint, here's a show called Forever Beautiful.
These portraits, they trap me in amber. They will not age. They will live forever. My Dolly dear, that man's a realist. He made me beautiful, forever beautiful. My eyes like gems, notice please each tiny lash. Would you believe he painted with his own mustache? Raoul Dufil, a brilliant colorist. He made me beautiful, forever beautiful. A few deft strokes, poppy red and iris blue. In my small way, I do know something of this truth. Made women glorious, made women women glamorous. Used all my art to hold the march of time. I slowed it down a bit, there is no stopping it. But in a painting, it is always your prime, right? Tamagilambika, she was bisexual. You see her laugh on me, but it's subtextual. My lifelong fight is to keep my figure trim, but now I eat 'cause chocolate keeps me slim.
7 guest rooms. When was the last time she even had a visitor? She's old and scared. Wouldn't you be?
Good, go then, you money man. I read your beady eyes. Vain old lady, all alone in the juicy ties. I admit I am a little bit afraid to meet death, but with my brilliant eyes, when I depart, I'll cheat death. With my Picasso, his alley Cupid's tears, I pose no clothes with him. Thank God who knows with him. He says your ears are like elephant size. I say from you, well, who can tell from ears or eyes? When I was Galilee, my papa sneered at me. A plainer face he'd never seen before. I said, to hell with fate, I'll mold my destiny. Packed my satchel and walked right out the door. From discontented life, without the cent I was, became a name the world would not ignore. I reinvent my life as every art has done. I had nothing, I knew nothing, I only know there must be something more, so much more. Look at them all, that light will never dim. If death should come for me, they bar the door on him. The flesh may fade, canvas lives immortally, and that I'll hang from on to all eternity. Who gives a damn? No children visit me, these are my progeny, each an exquisite me. Who says I'm old? I look at my life so far, and I am beautiful, and I feel beautiful, forever beautiful, when you feel beautiful.
Hi, this is Donna Mills. You probably know me from Knott's Landing, but right now I'm doing a play at the Colony Theater in Burbank in California. I'm doing Driving Miss Daisy. I hope maybe you can come out to see it. Now, I'm going to be talking today to Rabbi Saul Solomon on Dave's Gone By at UNC Radio.
Oh, shalom, my friends. Shalom. This is your old buddy, Rabbi Saul Solomon, coming to you from Colorado. And I have an interview today with an actress. Now, I know some of my interviews are kind of run-of-the-mill, but today we have a run-of-the-mills interview. That's me being funny and amusing here, because I'm talking to Donna Mills. You know her. She's an Emmy Award winner for General Hospital. She was on Knott's Landing all those years. And she was in the recent movie Joy with Jennifer Lawrence. And even, oh my God, Sharknado 4. But ladies and gentlemen, you can also see her live on stage doing theater in California. She's doing Driving Miss Daisy at Burbank's Colony Theater. So please, would you kindly welcome to the neighborhood, Donna Mills. Shalom, Donna.
Shalom, Rabbi. How are you today?
Oh, I'm all right. You know, the usual aches and pains. What can I tell you? I'm dealing. I'm coping. I've an iliopsoas issue and some headache and a blister that I don't know what that's doing on my hand. I gotta have that lanced. But how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Happy and rehearsing now for my play, which opens on Friday.
Oh, Ms. Mazel, that's right. It's at the Burbank Colony Theater, running from November 4th through December 10th. And are you actually playing Miss Daisy?
I am. I think people ask me to say, well, what role are you playing? What other role would I play? Certainly not the
you're not bullied. But no, the thing is, it's like people still think of you not slamming all the shows that you did all the way from the 1960s and 70s. So it's hard to think of you as a person in her 70s who is of an age, maybe still a little young, to play Miss Daisy. And yet, you know.
I know. We had to age me tremendously to do it.
Well, yeah, but physically you still look like you're 50, for God's sake. So there you go.
No, you know, I mean, it's one of the things, you know, that you have to do. I mean, you know, they tell me I look younger than she should look, but what you can do on the stage is physical, and I can't do a lot of age makeup in this because I'm on the stage the whole time, and she ages from 72 to 97.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So there's, you know, and there, I can't do makeup because I'm on the stage. So it's physical. It's pretty much physical.
Well,
what?
They do the Elephant Man. When Bowie did the Elephant Man, when Philip Anglin did it, and when the guy recently, the actor, did Elephant Man on Broadway, there's no makeup except basic stage stuff. But you have to make in your mind, aha, this is a deformed person, and you're playing someone physically. So what do you do instead of the makeup?
Well, it's physical. It's how she walks. It's how she sees. It's how she talks. You know, all those things are affected as age starts to take over. And you know, by the time she's 97, she's in a home, and her mind's a little gone. You know, she's kind of in and out, but you know, she's not real sharp anymore. And, you know, it's all that kind of stuff. Walking with a walker. You know, it's physical. It's an interesting challenge for an actor.
Now, let me ask you, she is also, I believe, this character is a Jewess. So did you have to do any research on Jewessism to you know?
Well, I have a Jewish boyfriend. So
wait, is this Larry Gilman? Is he Jewish?
That's right, yes.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, what does he do?
What does he do?
Yes.
He's a consultant, and he teaches people how to give presentations and talk to the media and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And he has a thing that he's done for about 30 years now called the Mastery, which is how to find your authentic self.
Ooh, okay. I haven't seen my authentic self in about 20 years.
Well, you should see him.
I left it in a closet somewhere in Chicago, and when I go back there, I'll find it. Oh, my authentic self is under a trunk. But you went to him, to your boyfriend, for like, is this right on Passover? Is this how they would do this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I know all that stuff because we've been together quite a long time, and, you know, he does theaters and, you know, all kinds of this stuff. So I pretty much know all that, you know. So it you know, it wasn't that much of a stretch. I have it kind of, I know what it is.
But do you have to change the cadence of your speech, no matter what age that Miss Daisy is? She's Jewish all the way through. So is there a bit of Jewishness that you pop into your delivery, or it's just you, and then you happen to be playing someone who's Jewish?
No, because if you recall, she's from the South. They're from Atlanta, so they have Southern accents.
Oh, that's true.
But you know, that's Southern, so that's all the accent. You know,
you're right. Yeah,
that you have to do.
So basically, it's just oy vey y'all. That would do it.
She doesn't have it. There are no lines that she has that say oy vey.
Borscht and grits is the kind of thing that's eating there. So let me. You answer this all the time because people want to know. Oh, you know, you've been dating Larry Gilman for so long, and yet he hasn't made an honest woman of you. You're never going to get married. Is this true?
That's true.
Because you don't have to. I mean, you have your own career. You've got your life. Is that the reason?
No, it's because I don't know. I've never been married. I've never seen any real reason for it. I've had long-time relationships that have been wonderful, but I'm not looking for anybody to. I don't know. If the relationship works, that's the most important thing. I don't need a piece of paper to feel safe.
thank God. But, well, speaking of safety, and this is the question now being asked of every actress out there, have you, God forbid, had any Harvey Weinstein type problems and issues, especially in your younger years?
Yeah, and, when I was first starting out, it was, the same for every young, pretty girl out there. There were predators. There were, auditions you go to that weren't really auditions. There were, there were a lot of that kind of stuff at the beginning. As I went on, and particularly after I started playing Abby, I think that anybody would have been afraid to
Oh, well, yeah, that character.
any moves on her, because she was so strong and so, she was not going to let anybody mess with her. So, and I think people thought that was me too. And I took a lot of that from her, so I thank her for that.
But in times before then, when you were in situations where you were uncomfortable, did you tell girlfriends? Did you feel comfortable telling anybody? Or you just sort of brushed it off and said, well, I'm just never doing anything with that producer or that director again?
Pretty much that. Pretty much. I never really said anything. People didn't then.
Right. Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'm thrilled to see that girls are, opening up now and saying, yeah, this happened and that happened and it shouldn't happen. It's wrong. Because it is. And it shouldn't, they shouldn't have to put up with that stuff. So I'm really happy to see this whole turn taking place now. And, thank you, Harvey Weinstein.
Well, in a manner of speaking, and James Toback and Bill Cosby and ... I mean, we haven't heard. It's the tip of the iceberg at this point. I mean, it's going to be. But
yeah, it's true.
But is there anybody that statute of limitations be damned, that you would want to call out and say, hey, that son of a bitch, ... Even if it wasn't, God forbid, cause for a little rape. But is there anybody that you can say, he's pretty famous now, but back in the day, what a creep, what a bastard?
No, not really. The things that happened when I was very young in the business, I don't even remember their names. I don't remember who they were. The only one, and this was a famous one, Al Cap. Do you remember him?
The cartoonist?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, but that was out in the public for a long time, that he was a terrible predator. He would have guys going out in the street trying to find girls to, bring up to him, saying that, he was casting Little Abner on Broadway.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they were looking for a daisy, and a different kind of daisy. Right.
Right. Yeah. But, so, I got hooked into that at one point and was like devastated, and we were left there screaming and crying. But, that's a famous one. It's not like I'm outing him. He died a long time ago, actually.
Actually, it's not so famous. I heard of him as cartoonist and for Little Abner, but I had not heard those stories. So don't always assume these things are out there and famous. Maybe they're just famous in a very small community,
I guess so.
I mean, the Bill Cosby thing was famous, but it took that black comedian saying it for it to really be famous. Everybody knew, but nobody knew until that moment when then everybody couldn't deny and everybody really did know. You know what I'm even saying?
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on to happier things. If you were talking about Little Abner on Broadway, you did some Broadway back in the day. You worked with someone else who, again, there's some controversy about this man. Woody Allen, you were in the original Don't Drink the Water.
I was. Yes, I understudied the ingenue, Anita Gillette. But I played the Sultan's wife, but I was like all covered and with a, scarf over my face and everything like that. So you never saw me.
Oh, well, what was it like? What was Woody like back then in the beginnings of his genius?
Well, he was odd.
Oh.
He was, but I never got to know him very well because I wasn't, one of the major players. I wasn't one of the major characters. So, I just saw him in rehearsals and out of town, and we played it in Boston before we brought it into New York. So I really, I don't really have much to say about him because I never really got to know him very well.
Okay, that's right. Well, let's talk about another director because he went in an early and good movie by Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
And was it his first directing assignment, Play Misty for Me? I think that was...
It was. It was the first, his first movie that he directed, and he was wonderful. I mean, he brought that movie in under budget and under time. For a first-time director, that's, like, amazing. But he knew exactly what he wanted. He knew exactly how he wanted to do it. He had incredible taste in what he did, and he was just a joy to work with.
Oh, that's wonderful. See, I'm not just looking for bad, weird, creepy stories. I'm looking for great stories about it, because you've been in Hollywood and in California and doing theater for all these years. You have probably amazing anecdotes about famous people with whom you have worked. Such as,
gosh.
Hint, like who?
I'd have to think about them, though.
Well, who are some of your favorite people that you ever worked with?
Oh, good grief. Well, Clint is certainly one of my favorites.
Okay.
I just the people that I did knots with, who I'm still very close to, Michelle and Joan and Ted and Kevin, Bill. They're all really like family to me still.
Oh, good.
And even after all these years, isn't that amazing?
And were you friends with Larry Hagman? Was that a good, happy? Because you were in a comedy together before he started showing up from Dallas, going to Knots Landing and blah, blah, blah.
That's right. Yeah, we did The Good Life together where we played husband and wife. And I loved him. I loved him from the very beginning. He took me under his wing, too, because I was brand new. I'd just come out here. I did Play Misty for Me, and then I came down to LA and I auditioned for the Good Life, and I got it. And it went on the air. Everybody said the first pilot you did went on the air. Oh, God. So I was very, very lucky. But I was very green and very, didn't know what was what. And he took me under his wing, and he was wonderful. He and his wife, Mai, were just wonderful, wonderful people. And, that relationship went on all the way through Knots. We shot in the same lot, so we saw each other a lot,
And do you have any funny, amusing anecdotes of stuff that happened behind the scenes, bloopers on the camera when doing Knots Landing?
Oh, doing Knots Landing? Oh, my gosh.
All right. Or live soap operas. Oh, actually, I'll get to those, too. But let's get to the taped, the evening soap operas, like Knots Landing. Any funny memories?
Yeah, well, there's like the stuff that Ted used to do. I mean, we'd be doing a shower scene or something, but we'd have on towels and stuff like that. And then they'd go to shoot my shot, and I'd turn around and look at him, and he'd drop the towel.
But that's harassment now. Nobody will do that anymore.
Right. Yeah, I know, but it was very funny. I mean, he's a very funny guy. And, he used to do things like that to me all the time, just being really, fun and racy and funny.
Were you on any soap operas in the daytime that were live?
The first one that I did, I think it was, I can't even remember, it was called The Secret Storm, and I played a character by the name of Rocket. Hello.
All right.
That was the only name. She was a nightclub singer. I have no idea why in heaven's name they cast me, but they did, and I actually had to sing.
Oh, okay.
Nobody's been able to find that footage, and I'm really glad.
All right.
Yeah. And then I did the one that I put on the air, which was Love Is Many Splendid Thing.
Right.
And then, so that was a big deal to put a soap on the air like that. That was great, actually.
Well, people invariably, they separate the daytime Emmys, which you have won one, from the regular Emmys. And people kind of look down on soap operas. You defend them to us, please.
Well, yeah, but you know, the thing that I don't like is that they call like Knots Landing a soap opera. It was not a soap opera. It was a nighttime drama. You know, the nighttime shows were basically not soap operas. Soap operas are different in the ones in the daytime, and I have great respect for them because they are not easy, and I have respect for the actors because they do a tremendous amount of work in a very short time, and it's really tough. So, you know, I have respect for all forms of acting. You know?
And is that why you're still doing theater? Because there's that sort of, oh, you're on the go. You've got to, it's not sitting there waiting 45 minutes in a trailer for the camera to come and do a line. It's like, oh, be ready, be fresh, boom, go, you know?
Yeah, it's a very, you know, it's as an actor, it's really nice because you get to rehearse, you get to hone your character, you get to try things and, you know, see what works and what doesn't. That's a process that all actors love. So in theater, you get to do it the most.
Now, can I ask, speaking of theater, Wikipedia lists that you did a tour years ago of My Fair Lady. Were you Eliza back then?
No, I was a dancer in the chorus.
Oh, okay. So who was Higgins at that point? Was it Rex or what?
No. Boy, I have to go back and look at that program. I don't remember who it was.
Oh, okay. Or
yeah.
who was Eliza if you weren't? So
yeah, it was a national company. Yeah, but I was a dancer.
Oh, so when was the last time you danced?
Well, a long time ago. I mean, I have a workout room in my house, and in that workout room, I have a ballet bar.
Ooh. And
I use it for stretching and all that kind of stuff. So, but the last time I danced, oh my goodness, professionally was really a long time ago.
Okay.
Back in Chicago, I think.
Oh, that's where I left my self-esteem. I mentioned that before. It's in that closet there when you're in your dance shoes.
Right.
We're talking, by the way, with the delightful Donna Mills. You're going to go see her, by the way. You're gonna, even if you don't live in California, you're going to drive out to California to the Colony Theater in Burbank for Driving Miss Daisy, which is running through from this weekend already through December 10th. And you know, I asked before about Jewishness and your boyfriend and all of this, but how are you raised religiously wise?
I was raised in a Catholic home.
Okay, and
but somehow it didn't take on me.
Why not?
I don't know exactly, but it didn't. I'm very not religious, but I was raised in a Catholic home, and my brother, who lives in Colorado, where you are, is still very religious, and his whole family is.
So do you have a belief system of any kind in God, in Xenu, or anything like that?
It's just a morality, I think, more than a belief system in God. It's a morality about how I should be and the kind of person I should be, and that I want to be a good person, you know, good to other people, make some difference in the world, you know, all that kind of thing. But it doesn't stem from religion. It just stems from a morality.
Now, speaking of making a difference in the world, are you at all overtly political, or do you keep that to yourselves? Because lots of actors, especially these days, they're weighing in one way or the other.
Yeah, no, I'm very vocal. I always have been.
Okay, so
politically, yeah.
Are you waving a Confederate flag, or are you saying dump Trump?
No, dump Trump. You know, I just signed a petition to have him impeached.
Oh my goodness! On the specific grounds of which wrong thing did he do? Which one?
Which one? All of them. All of them.
You need an impeachable offense. It isn't just that you don't like him. You need something to say, hey, what he did was ... So what was that petition about?
Well, I think calling other national leaders names and when they have nuclear weapons aimed at our country is probably an impeachable offense.
Well, wait, I know why you're angry at him, because he called the Korean guy Rocket Man, and you resented being called Rocket all those years ago.
Right, yes, right.
And see, that's why. Oh, my God.
No, he's just, he's done so many things that anybody else would have been, thrown out for, that it boggles the mind.
Have you taught acting? I know that's sort of I veered away from that really quick, but have you done any instruction stuff, or do you coach young people who want to get into the business?
No, I've never taught acting. No, the only kind of tutorial kind of stuff that I did is that I had a makeup video, two actually, a makeup video and then a makeup video.
What was it called? The Eyes Have.
And eye makeup kit that I sold. So.
Oh yeah.
Those are the only tutorial kind of things I've done.
Well, what is a tip that you would give, either makeup-wise or otherwise, to someone, a young girl, 16 years old, says, "Oh, I want to get into business."
Oh, they want to get into business?
Yeah.
Study acting. If you want to be an actor, study acting. And don't get in the business because you want to be a star. Get in the business because you want to act.
But you were lucky. You're the one out of 1,000 who not only got to act a bit, but got to make a real great living doing it. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that can happen. But if that's your goal, you're going to be disappointed. If your goal is because you love the work, you love to act, then you're going to be a much happier person.
So let me ask, what are some roles, even if they're one-offs in sitcoms and dramas on TV and stuff, what are roles that you're most proud of or you think people should find on Netflix and give a look to?
Well, of course, Abby. Abby is like my favorite character that I've ever done.
Oh.
I got to form her over years, and that was a real privilege. Not many actors get to do that. But then when I left Knott's, I produced 6 movies for television, and most of those movies were done with real stories. And I liked them because I thought that they would be helpful. I did one about a woman who was an alcoholic. We got a lot of inquiries about AA and stuff like that afterwards, which was wonderful. I did another one about deadbeat dads. It was called Runaway Father. That was a true story of a woman who, found the guy who left her with 2 kids and made him pay 17 years later, which was really interesting. Roles like that, I think I really did well with, and I'm proud of the fact that I got those movies made.
And what about theater? Because we do love theater here. Are there roles that you hope to tackle in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, somebody mentioned to me the other day, as long as you're doing old ladies,
well,
why don't you do it on Golden Pond?
Well, that is another one up there. You thinking about it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm wondering, what's your favorite theater role that you have played over the years? Not counting Daisy, which you're playing right now in California, but besides that, on stage, what was your favorite theater experience?
Well, I did Lineage on Dangers a couple of years ago here at the La Mirada Theater, and I loved that play. It's my favorite. It's tough, though. It's a 3-hour play, but it was wonderful. I would do that again if I could.
Wow. Well, we have been talking with the charming, delightful, and funny, and wonderful Donna Mills, who is playing the titular, and you forgive me for saying that word, but the titular Miss Daisy and driving Miss Daisy at the Colony Theater in Burbank, California. It's happening this weekend all the way through mid-December. So let me ask for a final question here. What do you hope for in the next 10, 15 years regarding your life and career?
I would like to, at this point in my life, because I think I'm vital still,
certainly do. You should see my prostate. But yeah.
But that they can age in a way that is still healthy and active and vital.
I like that. I do like that. And I like you, Donna Mills. It is lovely to talk to you. I wish you great success, of course, with the Driving Miss Daisy. Are you working, by the way, on any other project that people will see you in soon?
I have a little movie that'll come out. I don't know where it'll come out. It's called Best Mom. I think they're going to take it around to film festivals. I'm not sure exactly where it's going to end up, but it was a cute little movie that I did, and I hope it does well.
We hope it does well, too, and hope that you do well for many, many years to come. Donna Mills, thank you for visiting with us in the Kosher neighborhood, and shalom to you.
Shalom, Rabbi. Thank you so much.
Oh, Donna, oh, Donna, oh, Donna, oh, Donna. I had a girl, Donna was her name. Said she left me, I'd never been the same. But I love my girl, Donna, where can you be? Where can you be? Now that you're gone, I've been all alone, all by myself, to wander and roam. 'Cause I love my girl, Donna, where can you be? Where can you be? Well, darling, now that you're gone, I don't know what I'll do. Oh, son, and all my love for you. I had a girl, Donna was her name. Said she left me, I'd never been the same. 'Cause I love my girl, Donna, where can you be? Where can you be? Oh, Donna, oh, Donna, oh, Donna, oh, Donna.
UNC Radio, Dave's got my radio program of the air, and a song that ended earlier than I thought it would. Oops. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to the show. We have more show for you. First of all, of course, we thank so much to Donna Mills of Knots Landing, and of course of Driving Miss Daisy, that she's doing in Burbank, California from this weekend all the way through the middle of December. And by the way, we want to welcome some listeners here. We've got Carlin, we've got Joseph, also from here at UNC, and oh my God, Robert from high school has just tuned in. So we welcome all our Facebook listeners alongside all the folks that I don't see and can't see me, who are listening at uncradio.org to this program. It's called Dave's Gone By. It's our 626th episode of the show, here live on this November 4th, 2017. It's called Grist for the Mills. Yeah, I got Donna Mills. Okay, we did that before. So catch up, all of you who are just tuning in now. But we still have more stuff to do. We've got our Saturday segue of songs in the news coming up. I really enjoy that, where I play a couple of songs and you have to figure out, what's going on in the news? Why would Dave play that right now this week? So stay tuned for that. But before we do that, we also have a segment that we do every week in honor of our greatest living songwriter, singer, composer kind of person. Of course, I'm talking about Bob Dylan. Come gather around, people. It's time for Bob Dylan, Sooner and Later. Songs from all different times and phases of Bob Dylan's career. Everybody must get bobbed. Yes, indeed. It's our Bob Dylan Sooner and Later segment because, Dylan changed my life when I was listening to him all those years ago as a junior high school and high school kid, and his music and his way of living and being and creating has influenced me all these many, many years hence. Well, it was a big shock for me in the late 1970s, seeing Dylan go through a whole period that I just could not get into and could not understand, because I became a Dylan fanatic when I was in junior high school and just devoured and absorbed all his earlier stuff from the folk albums from the early 1960s, the middle 60s classic period, devoured the very still pretty recent Blonde on Blonde and Desire era stuff, the stuff he was doing with the band, Rolling Thunder, and even the Hard Rain era. And then I had gone to see him must have been 1977 or 78. A friend of mine, my dad took us to Madison Square Garden and Nassau Coliseum. And he was sitting there in absolute misery as we watched Bob Dylan with a giant band and saxophones and backup singers in that era where he was pushing street legal at that stage and doing most of his old songs. Well, within a year or two, he shifted in a completely different way, and he discovered Jesus. Okay, which was mind-blowing in a couple of different ways. First of all, I'm Jewish, duh, right? And very proud of that. And it was also a big source of pride for me, and I guess a lot of other Jewish people, that the most important songwriter, another of the most important songwriters in the history of American music, was of our tribe. We had George Gershwin, we had Frank Lesser, we had Richard Rodgers. I'm not sure about Oscar Hammerstein, but I mean, Lerner and Lowe, all the theater people, the Tin Pan Alley people, nearly all of them were Jewish. We had some rock and rollers, some important people, but nobody in the universe more important than Dylan. Someone who was ranked up there with the Goyim, Lennon, McCartney, and Jagger Richards, and the other folks, and Pete Seeger and Tom Paxton, and folks who were writing the great American folk songs of the modern era. So here we had this guy, this nice Jewish boy from Hibbing, Minnesota, and suddenly he was, in some level, on some way, a traitor, right? He was like, how does this man suddenly discover Jesus? And he was baptized in Billy Graham's pool, right? And starts to sing about it and write about it. And it's the only thing he's singing and writing about. Now you add that on top of the fact that his voice again changed. And for all the years of loving Bob Dylan, from 1962, his earlier work, all the way through the mid-1970s, you had to be part of, let's say, the club or the cult to appreciate and love Dylan's voice, but it was a great voice. When it was rough-hewn and Woody Guthrie-esque in his early albums, when he started smoking the cigarettes and had that blonde on blonde, heavy, deep, rich voice, when he had the froggy in the morning voice, and the crooner voice, even on Nashville Skyline. And then the voice came back to this great, folky, authentic, personal whine in Blonde on Blonde, and then a little bit of the Jewish cantorial feeling for his work on Desire. And of course, the incredible shout that he had when he was live with a band, whether it be Before the Flood or his later work with Hard Rain, where he was just shouting the songs, and it was powerful and wonderful. I mean, he had, if you appreciated it, a great voice throughout his career. And then suddenly, his voice was no longer great. Something happened, something between Hard Rain, and I've spoken about this before, something between Hard Rain and Street Legal started to chop away at his voice. I think, and I could be totally off base about this, he was doing a ton of drugs during the Rolling Thunder tour, probably blew out his nose with cocaine, did something to his sinuses, where he went into a permanent kind of nasal whine that he's never come out of since, and it's only gotten worse and raspy and lost ever since. Because Dylan could do what he wanted to with his voice from 1963, let's say, through 1977. After that, his voice controlled him, and it's been diminishing returns, shall we say, even when he finds a way to make the song work, not because of his voice, but despite his voice. And that started on Street Legal. Already, that something about that album, you sense a diminution of his ability to sing. And now he's getting into songs that are not all that interesting because they're monomanic about faith, about him turning into a Christian, and his voice is all nasal, and he's not always singing quite on key, and the music isn't all that interesting anymore, and so blah, blah, blah. And it's been, pretty de rigueur to criticize the Dylan Christian era for all these reasons, and he, as himself, for being in kind of a wasteland, a lost period for the whole 1980s, with some bright spots here and there. Well, his latest release on Columbia Records, his latest bootleg series, box set, is trying to address the record of those born again years, the years that he put out 3 particular albums, Slow Train Coming, Saved, and Shot of Love, which was already kind of half secular and half religious. And it's trying to say, hey, there was a ton of really good music made during that period. Maybe not up to the level that we saw 65 to 66, the bringing it all back home, Blonde on Blonde era. Maybe not of the level of the Blood on the Tracks era, but still, people write this era off. They don't want to deal with it. They didn't like the albums in the first place, which makes it kind of funny that Columbia is now releasing disc after disc of stuff that supposedly wasn't even good enough to be on the albums that nobody liked. Go figure. But of course, with Dylan, it's never that simple. With Dylan, there's stuff that was left off the albums that you're like, I need to put that on the album. I mean, that would have been all right. That would have been a lot better. So they're releasing, or just have released, when was it? It was on November 3rd, yesterday. Columbia Records Legacy Recordings released the latest in the bootleg series. This is Volume 13, Trouble No More, 1979 to 1981. A set of recordings made during that period, his so-called Christian period, and it's mostly live recordings. It's not like he has hundreds of hours in the vaults at Columbia of songs that he didn't release. There's a few on this box set, but it's mostly when he was doing tours. And with Dylan, you know what he's like live. Some days you get diamonds, some days you get dust, or if you're Joan Baez, rust. So, but when he was on fire, sometimes songs lie there on the record in the studio, and the band gets into them, the singer gets into them in a live performance, and it's a whole other experience. And a song that's kind of meh that you're listening to in the antiseptic nature of a studio really turns into something else. So there's a bunch of live recordings in this Trouble No More bootleg series volume 13 set. And a lot of concert material from London and Toronto. Now, Columbia, throwing everything at the wall that sticks, has a 9-disc set of this Trouble No More material. 100 unreleased tracks, 14 unheard songs, which is stuff I guess I'm most interested in. But they've also shaved that stuff down to a 2 CD set. And they've done this kind of thing with the last few bootleg releases anyway. So there are a few new songs like Stand by Faith, Jesus is the One, Making a Liar Out of Me, Ain't Gonna Go to Hell for Anybody, Yonder Comes Sin, not to be confused with Neil Young's Yonder Stands the Sinner, and Rise Again. So you know where Dylan's head was at, even with these songs that he didn't put on Slow Train Coming or Saved. I don't have the box set. I don't have the 2 CD version, let alone the 9 CD version, but I do have a couple of these new releases of old songs from this 1979-1981 period that are on this Trouble No More box set. So we're going to hear them. Let's hear 3 Bob Dylan songs in our Dylan Sooner and Later sooner and later set. This is a song that was released on, I think, the first of his religious records. But this is a live version recorded in Oslo, 1981. Here's Dylan with When You Gonna Wake Up. When am I going to play this iTunes thing? Here it is. Gotta have the Emerson, Lake and Palmer flourish, I guess.
God told me promises that he don't keep. You got some big dreams, baby, but the dream you better still be asleep. When you gonna wake up? When you gonna wake up? When you gonna wake up? Strengthen the things that we made. Counterfeit philosophies and polluted all of your thoughts. Karl Marx has got you by the throat, Henry Kissinger still got you wrapped up in knots. Where you gonna wake up? Where you gonna wake up? Where you gonna wake up? Straight on my face that they made. Spiritual advisors and gurus to make you hold your breath. Give you instant inner peace. Every step you take, you lead right down to death. Where you gonna wake up? Where you gonna wake up? Where you gonna wake up? Straight on the things that we know. Take it with you, and now it's too worthless to be sold. They tell you time is money, as if your life was worth it, the way to go. Do you ever wonder just what God requires? Things just an animal to satisfy your wandering desires. When you gonna wake up? When you gonna wake up? When you gonna wake up? Spend on the things that we do. He's been crucified. You know he is, and you know why he died. Where you gonna wake up?
Live Dylan.
The time of my confession is the hour of my deepest need. When the pool of tears beneath my feet, whatever newborn sees, and the dying voice within me, reaching out somewhere, toiling in the danger, and in the morrows of despair. Don't have the inclination to look back or even to stay. But can't I behold this chain of events that I must break? In the fury of the moment, I can see the master's hand. In every leaf that trembles, in every gate of flame. Oh, the powers of indulgence and the weeds of yesteryear, like criminals they have choked the breath of conscience and good cheer. The sun beat down upon the steps of time to light the way, to ease the pain of idleness and the memory of decay. I gaze into the doorway of temptation's angry flame, and every time I pass that way, I always hear my name. And onward in my journey, I come to understand that every hair is numbered, like every grave is sad. I have gone from rags to riches in the sorrow of the night, in the violence of a summer's dream, in the chill of a wintry night, in the bitter dance of loneliness, fading into space, in the broken mirror of innocence, on each forgotten face. I hear the aging footsteps, like the motion of the sea. Sometimes I turn, there's someone there, at times it's only me. I'm hanging in the balance of a perfect finished plan, like every sparrow falling, like every grain of sand.
Loon Mountain, 2 o'clock Eastern, UNC Radio.
I tell people, you just going through changes. And if you're acquainted, boo, with night and day, that your money's good, and you just being courageous on them burning bridges, knowing your feet are made of clay. Well, I say you won't be destroyed by your invention, that you brought it all under captivity, and that you really do have all the best intentions, but you make it a liar out of me. Well, I say that you just young and self-tormented, but that deep down you understand the hopes and fears and dreams of the discontented, and threaten now to overtake your promised land. Well, I say to you, not so discord among brothers, nor drain a man of his integrity, that you remember the cries of the orphans and their mothers, but you're making a liar out of me. You're making a liar out of me. Well, I say that ain't flesh and blood you're drinking in the wounded empire of your fool's paradise, with the light above your head forever blinking, turning virgins into merchandise. You must have been beautiful when you were living. You remind me of some old time you used to be. I say you can't be trusted with the power you've been given, but you're making a liar out of me. So many things so hard to say as you stumble to take refuge in your offices of shame, as the earth beneath my feet begins to rumble, and your young men die for nothing, not even fame. I say that someday you'll begin to trust it, and that your conscience has not been slain by conformity, that you stand up unafraid to believe in justice, but you're making a liar out of me. You're making a liar out of me. I can hear the sound of distant thunder from an open window at the end of every hall. Now that you're gone, I got to wonder if you ever were here at all. I say you never sacrificed my children to some false kind of infidelity. And then it's not the Tower of Babel that you're building, but you're making a liar out of me. You're making a liar out of me. You're making a liar out of me.
Bob Dylan, sooner and later, here on the Dave's Gone By radio program of the air, playing Bob Dylan as we always do on this show. It is 12:06 p.m. Mountain Time in the neighborhood here at the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley, Colorado. Dave Lefkowitz here with you for this Dave's Gone By show, our 626th episode. We're playing 3 Bob Dylan songs because they're they're not brand new, but they're newly released, and they're from the era that nobody really likes, even now. That's pretty good stuff, listenable stuff, but I can't say I'm going to want to listen to that whole era very much. But it's nice that Columbia has just been vomiting up the vaults, as it were, for Dylan material for people who do want that. We heard 3 songs from the just released 13th edition box set of Columbia bootlegs, Dylan bootlegs, Trouble No More, 1979 through 1981. We heard Live from Oslo, recorded on July 9th, 1981, When You Gonna Wake Up, and then 2 rehearsal tracks. So 2 tracks that were not live, but were also unreleased. There's Every Grain of Sand, which is considered a later day Dylan classic, and wound up on Shot of Love. That's a rehearsal version of it. And a song that never has come out until now, Making a Liar Out of Me, which I can understand why they didn't release it, because Jagger and Richard would have sued. If they and Andrew Luke Oldham sued the Verve for doing Bittersweet Symphony, certainly Jagger and Richard would have sued for taking the melody line out of You Can't Always Get What You Want for Dylan's Making a Liar Out of Me. But it's out there. It's out there on the box set, and you can get all 9 CDs of it, or they have the 2 CD version of Trouble No More, Bob Dylan, on Dave's Gone By. Hey, I haven't even given a shout out to our sponsors yet, the fine folks at Hewlett Minuteman Press, the copy kings of Broadway. Since the mid-1970s, the Toron family has owned and operated Hewlett Minuteman Press right in the heart of Hewlett, Long Island. They're right by the 4 banks on those corners there. There's a giant Petco where the Lomans used to be. And you want to use Hewlett Minuteman Press because they are the copy kings. Whether it's just a single black and white page that you want copied, or a bunch of color pages, something you need laminated, or in a spiral binder, or in a folder, Hewlett Minuteman does all that for you. Plus, they can put your company logo on calendars, on posters, on mugs, on balloons, on articles of clothing or sports items. You name it, Minuteman can do it. In fact, I saw them this past week when I was in New York. I stopped in, I said hi to, was either Michael or David, the Toron brothers, and also some of the other folks who work there, Aldina, and they were telling me that the copying is the least almost of what they do now. Because, they still obviously can copy magazines and books and journals and pieces of paper and stuff like that. But mainly they're doing embossing, and they still do wedding invitations and cards and cardstocks. So if your business needs them, or even you need them personally for the upcoming holidays or for all your needs, check out Hewlett Minuteman Press. Their phone number is 516-569-5577. Area code 516-569-5577. And remember, if you tell them Dave sent you, you get 10% off any job, big or small, at Hewlett Minuteman. So they're closed already today because they're open only a couple of hours on Saturday. But they'll be back open Monday morning, 8:30, Hewlett Minuteman Press. They are the copy kings. And I feel like king of the world when I do this radio show on UNC Radio here in Greeley. I love it that we're streaming, so you can listen just by going into your iTunes and pasting our URL. You can find all that at davesgoneby.com. So if either you can, as my wife said, paste in the URL, or just go to iTunes and do open stream, and you can listen to the audio. Because I apologize to our Facebook watchers and listeners that the music that you hear here doesn't come out very well. Because all we have is the microphone on this laptop. The music is playing from ambient speakers we have in the room. It's meant to be a radio show. So if you want to tell people to listen, or you want to go back and listen and hear the Dylan music that we've played, the Joni Mitchell stuff we played earlier, in a better sound quality, then you have to go into our archives at davesgoneby.com. Just click on the archives, and again, you can either download it as an MP3 or stream it on your computer. Or if you don't want to see this face for 3 or 4 hours on Saturday mornings, remember that you can just listen at davesgoneby.com through your iTunes. But thank you, everybody who does listen to this program, the folks who've given me shout outs. And speaking of which, thank you for the emails that I've gotten this past week. A Facebook user named Peter wrote just the word delight in reference to our Steve Ross episode that we had 2 weeks ago. The fine legendary cabaret performer Steve Ross was with us on the show. And what can you say about Steve Ross except delight? Also, Mr. Friendy, our great local friends here in Greeley, said, I really enjoyed the Rabbi's interview with Steve Ross. I had to get out my Irving Berlin book to read the lyrics for Yiddish Eskimo. You know what, Friendy? I did too. I mean, for the time, they're pretty cool. And thank you so much to Suzito on YouTube, who went and looked up our 2006 interview with the late cabaret songwriter Ray Jessel, and she just said, total greatness. And I assume she was talking about him rather than me, but that's all right. Remember that all our interviews are on YouTube as well. We've put our shows on YouTube too, but because of copyright issues, YouTube ends up either deleting them or just taking the sound out of them, so they're useless. I apologize for that. But the interviews are there because there's no music. There's only original content. And you can find those on YouTube as well on the Dave's Gone By channel. Anyway, thank you for keeping your channel tuned to us. It's 12:12 in the afternoon Mountain Time. Speaking of thank yous, thank you so much to Donna Mills for spending some time with Rabbi Salsa in the neighborhood today. We now consider her a friend of the neighborhood. That's someone who has been on the program, and whether it be this past year or last year or even when we started 15 years ago, they're all friends. They're our family, and we like to keep tabs on them. We like to let you know what people who've been in the neighborhood are up to. So we call it the Friends of the Neighborhood. So letting you know what the Friends of the Neighborhood are up to this particular week and weeks ahead. For example, Linda Lavin, the fine actress and cabaret person. Linda Lavin is co-starring with Elliot Gould in the new CBS sitcom 9JKL. I haven't seen it. I don't know how well it's doing. I hate the title, but obviously it's an apartment number. But it's 9JKL, featuring our friend Linda Lavin. And hey, by the way, have you been checking out on Thursday nights Facebook Jane Siberry's webpage, or her Facebook page, because she does kind of her own little talk show thing with some music too. She's a brilliant, possibly genius songwriter, composer, but she also likes to interact. She's a real people person. So check out Thursdays with Jane on Facebook. Go to Jane Siberry on your Facebook. Now through tonight, Ann Hampton Calloway, the cabaret songstress. She is at Birdland in Manhattan, so go see her. Jerry Blavitt, remember him? He is the Geeter with the Heater, longtime radio personality. Jerry Blavitt is emceeing the 2017 Malt Shop Memories Cruise featuring people like Jay and the Americans, the Righteous Brothers, Bobby Rydell, Danny and the Juniors, Dion, Brenda Lee. Wow, it's sailing tomorrow. It leaves tomorrow from Fort Lauderdale, going to Antigua and St. Martin's, assuming they haven't been blown to bits. That's the 2017 Malt Shop Memories Tour, cruise, I should say, with Jerry Blavitt hosting and emceeing. Want to let you know that Gerard Alessandrini's Spamilton, which I got to see finally when I was in New York this past week. Well, you don't just have to see the New York version. There's a version now up or over in Los Angeles at the Kirk Douglas Theater that is opening tomorrow and running through the end of the year. So congratulations to Gerard Alessandrini. And his Spamilton is in an open run off Broadway too. As I said, I just saw it. And where did I see it? I was at the 47th Street Theater, where the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater keeps their home. So definitely go see that. Want to let you know that tomorrow Mike Agranoff is doing an acoustic guitar and folk set at Studio Yoga in Madison, New Jersey. That's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the 25th anniversary tomorrow, there's a gala for Theater Resources Unlimited, which is this organization that helps would-be producers of theater off and hopefully eventually on Broadway too. I am a member, although I'm not, unfortunately, not a particularly active member. But Robert Cuccioli and Steve Ross are taking part. That's a double, and that is tomorrow at Caroline's on Broadway. And then Monday, Linda Weiner, theater critic, former and retired critic of Newsday. Linda Weiner, who was on a couple of our Tony shows years ago, she is interviewing producer Darryl Roth at Lincoln Center, and that conversation is being archived for the Lincoln Center Library of the Performing Arts. Now, through the almost end of November, go check out Desperate Measures at the York Theater, which features a score by our friend David Friedman, who was on this show in 2013. It may have actually extended one more week beyond that. I haven't checked, but you certainly have until most of November to see Desperate Measures at the York. And then one of my favorite human people names of all time, Chuck Muckle. Yes, Chuck Muckle, our friend of the neighborhood, is directing a show called In Love with the Arrow Collar Man. It's a gay drama at the 80 St. Mark's Place Theater. I guess it's called the St. Mark's Place Theater. That is running from November 8th through December 2nd. This coming Friday, November 10th, Neil Berg is doing his 50 years of rock and roll at the, he's bringing it back to the UCCC. Whoa, he'll be in Greeley. So, because we got him here last time he was in Greeley, Colorado. That's when we did our interview. So yay for Neil Berg for coming back to our neck of the woods. Also want to let you know that J.O. Sanders, who was just on our program 2 or 3 weeks ago, he is among the teachers of Acting Shakespeare's Tragedies. That's a workshop for the Red Bull Theater in Manhattan. And speaking of our Tony shows, Danny Burston, the fine Broadway actor, he will be starring as Isaac Babel in the new play Describe the Night by Rajiv Joseph. That is happening at Off-Broadway's Atlantic Theater from November 10th through late December. Now through next weekend, Hal Linden is playing Solomon in Arthur Miller's play The Price. That is at Arena Stage in Washington, D.C. Also through next weekend, Off-Broadway at the Signature Theater. That actually may have been extended as well. A revival of Jesus Hopped the A-Train by Stephen Adly Gerges. It's directed by our friend of the neighborhood, Ruben Santiago Hudson. And speaking of J.O. Sanders, don't forget that he directed a play called The Bench, starring our friend Robert Galinsky. That is running at the Cherry Lane Theater through the middle of December. And I mentioned in my review of Prince on Broadway that they did a piece from the Pajama Game, or just a little sliver of the Pajama Game. Well, if you want to see the whole show, they're doing it at Arena Stage in Washington, D.C., and it features alumnus of A Chorus Line, Donna McKechnie, our friend, and that is happening in Washington, D.C., now through mid to late December. Let's get to the Broadway stuff, because we have people who've done all these Broadway shows. For example, Alan Menken wrote Aladdin. That's at the New Amsterdam Theater. He did the score for it, I should say. The band's visit that just is about to open on Broadway and features a score by David Yazbek. That's at the Barrymore Theater, opening on November 9th. So that's just a couple of days away. Beautiful, the Carole King musical. That is at the Stephen Sondheim Theater and features a book by Douglas McGrath. I mentioned A Bronx Tale before, which I recommend, written by three of our friends, Chaz Palminteri, Alan Menken, and Glenn Slater, and Come From Away. I'm not reviewing it this week, but I will say absolutely 100%, 110%, go see Come From Away on Broadway. It's written by our friends Irene Sankoff and David Hine. They were on our most recent Tony Awards show. It's at the Gerald Schoenfeld Theater. I'll review it right now in one word. It's wonderful. Come From Away on Broadway. And Hamilton. Well, no, we don't know. I don't have any connection, unfortunately, to Lin-Manuel Miranda, but we do know Daniel Breaker, and he's playing Aaron Burr. That's at the Richard Rogers Theater, Hamilton. And School of Rock has lyrics by Glenn Slater. That is playing at the Winter Garden Theater. Plus, you can see Rondi Reed playing Rondi Reed playing Madame Marable in Wicked on Broadway at the Gershwin Theater. Andrew Goffman is the accidental pervert off-Broadway in his 8th season at the 13th Street Repertory Theater. And Monday nights at Birdland, Jim Caruso's Cast Party. Want to give a shout-out to my friend Evan Seplow. Alas, I did not get to see him when I was in New York, but you can go to his website, stagebuddy.com, to find out all sorts of things about New York nightlife. And then want to let you know that Dr. Demento is still doing brand new Dr. Demento shows at his website, drdemento.com. Plus, he's got the old ones. You think I've got a lot of archives of 600 shows? He's got more years in this game than I do, and they're all there for a small fee. You can listen to Demento shows from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the aughts, drdemento.com. And a cool shout out to my great friend Eva Heineman, who hosts the show on Manhattan Neighborhood Network Cable, High Drama, where she and varying guest hosts review theater every other week on mnn.org. And by the way, that's the same network that you can watch Two on the Aisle, featuring Charlie Gross and Leslie Hoban Blake, also reviewing Broadway and off-Broadway shows. And those, my friends, are the friends of the neighborhood. And of course, that music playing under was by Tony Trishka, who was a friend of the neighborhood just a couple of months ago. So yay on that as well. Well, speaking of music, we have one more segment in this episode of the Dave's Gone By radio program of the air, because we've had Donna Mills in the neighborhood. We thank her so much. And also a big thank you to the folks at Anderson Group PR for setting that up. We've done our Greeley Crimes and Old Times. We've gone Inside Broadway. We did our Saturday segue of birthday songs, the Dylan. I think I've said everything we've done, but we've got one more segment for you. It's a Saturday segue of birthday songs, meaning that, no, excuse me, that's the wrong Saturday segue. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong piece of paper here. It's a Saturday segue of songs in the news. So your job, should you choose to accept it, I hope you will, is not only to listen to and enjoy the songs I'm about to play, but to think, why is Dave playing that? What does that song have to do with something that happened this past week in the news, a big story, current events, or something that's about to happen? Could be the title of a song that's the clue. It could be the person singing it or the band. Could be the whole topic, the theme of the song. So you've got to listen, enjoy, and I know it's Saturday afternoon, but think a little bit too. Let's begin our Saturday segue with a band that is sugary sometimes, but that's not the song we're going to play, by the Archies.
Truck driver, wait now. Let me come along with you and help me find that little girl with eyes brown. Truck driver, you got all them license plates. Truck driver, tailgate full of license plates. I know you're gonna hit that road and take that load to 27 different states. She might have gone to Baltimore. She talked about it the night before. She might have gone to New York City. Skies are gray, but the lights are pretty. She might have gone to Hollywood. I know she'd go there if she could. Oh, truck driver, are you empty now? Oh, truck driver, are you empty now? Let me come along with you and help me find that little girl with eyes brown. Let me come along. I won't get in the way. I'll stand on the running wall and call a name. Through every town along the way. Oh, truck driver, way down. Truck driver, way down. Let me come along with you and help me find that little girl with eyes brown. Truck driver, truck driver.
And now let's get political.
He took me to dinner, said you'll be our winner. I promise that we'll treat you right. You'll blow us like tires, we'll get those right fires. You're pretty, you're young, and you're white. You got to believe this, they weren't gonna leave this chance. Ain't no chance that you'd win. We ain't who's the strongest or who lasts the longest. You're all screwed going in. The fibers eating clear from my skin. You promised me that you'd let me win. And now you're here pretending you love me since from this fix. Oh, it's a fix.
If you're leaving, I've heard it been said. All this French fever just way over my head. Stealing my moments, making up all my time. It's playing Russian roulette with my mind. None of my business, baby, is just what's going on. I'm not gonna wait till somebody throws me a bone. I'm well on the left now, and nothing seems around. It's playing Russian roulette with my mind. I think that you're caught on, yeah, that you've been using on. I'm going down to New Orleans, I've got to see Dr. Jones. Yes, I heard you're working, everything was fine. Stop playing Russian roulette with my mind. Not easy, baby, when everything starts getting out of control. Hang on to your hat now, hang on to your soul. Don't worry, baby, I wanna throw you the line. Stop playing Russian roulette with your mind. Too many hustlers, and I've been here before. No, they really know just who that you are. Everything gets contracted, and space gets confined. I'm playing Russian roulette with your mind. I'm playing Russian roulette. I'm playing Russian roulette. I'm playing Russian roulette with your mind. I'm playing Russian roulette. I'm playing Russian roulette. I'm playing Russian roulette with your mind.
From a dangerous sport to a pastime on our Saturday Segue.
Maybe Jasper does the Astro. Maybe Jasper does the Astro. Maybe Jasper does the Astro. Maybe Lily does the Astro. Maybe Lily does the Astro. Maybe Lily does the Astro.
more in the news.
I lived under a tree, and when it rained, the water fell on me. My next of kin paid my debt for me, gave all my love to the landlady, and Sister Francis, she, with her smiling eyes, waited for me. Under here, there's a spacey basement waiting where it's dark in every corner. In the face of every hour. The rats will find an order. And Brownest stole my money. Under here there is a power. We're part of cascading fear. It's just the temper of the times here. In all my ways, in all my days and ends, I will surely spend them all on you. Francis, she will kiss my howling cheek and let my dying be. These smiling bones will sing. Under here, there's a spacey basement waiting. Under here, where it's dark in every corner. Under here, and Brownest stole my money. Under here, in the face of every hour. We're kind of cascading here, 'cause under here there is a power. I never said I'd like it.
From the band Royal City, a song they're capping our Saturday segues of songs in the news. So remember, the idea was not just to listen to the songs, but to try and figure out, what would that have to do with something that's in the news or something that's been going on in the world and current events over the past couple of days? Well, here's why I played these songs. We started up top with, of all bands, actually they're pretty darn good, the Archies. We know them from Sugar Sugar and Bang Shang-a-Lang and songs like that. But that was a tune called Truck Driver. We got that off the absolutely best of the Archies. I find the song kind of interesting because it's got some of the same music going on as my favorite Bob Dylan song, One of Us Must Know Sooner or Later, which kind of shocked me because I never heard the Archies Truck Driver before. But there it is. Unfortunately, the reason we played that song was because of this fella, Sayfullo Saipov, who on Tuesday drove his truck, he rented a truck in New Jersey, drove it into Manhattan, and then rammed into 8 people on the street, not that far from the World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan. Then this idiot ran out of the truck with toy guns and was shot by police, but not killed. So, for once, we got a suicidal idiot who didn't even get to commit his own suicide. So perhaps he can be Gitmo'd. Perhaps he can be tortured as what did our president call him, a degenerate animal. And I know all the liberal left-wing people who are watching this show, I'm generally one of them, would be going, well, how could, and it's racist and it's anti-Muslim. No. He ran down 8 people on the street shouting Allahu Akbar, with the intent to murder. That's a degenerate animal. He could have said Shalom Aleichem. He could have been shouting Glory be, or my eyes have seen the coming of the glory of the coming of the Lord. He happened to say Allahu Akbar. No big shock there, but even so, he is a degenerate animal. And I hope he is treated as such, this fellow Sayfullo Saipov, who came to the U.S. in 2010 from Uzbekistan. So he is not the kind of truck driver that you want to encounter, but something of the truck driver that the Archies were singing about, and that's why we played Truck Driver by the Archies. We followed that up with a song from the 2013 Broadway cast of Hands on a Hard Body. Remember that musical? No one does, but it ran for a few weeks. It had to do with this contest where the last person to take his or her hands off a brand new truck gets to keep the truck, but everybody involved in the contest is having terrible troubles during the recession. So it was not a particularly happy political musical. It was amazing that it made it to Broadway in the first place. I wish I had seen it. But there was a song in there called It's a Fix, short little song called It's a Fix. Why? Well, kind of a bomb dropped on the Democrats this past week when former DNC chair Donna Brazil wrote a new book. Hillary Clinton's not the only one allowed to write a book. And Brazil says, hey, the fix was in. Just what, Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump have been shouting all those months ago, that because the Clintons raised so much money for the DNC, they ran the DNC. There was never a true sense of let's hash this out, of who the party, let alone the people, really want to run for president on the Democratic ticket. So there's nothing illegal going on, but it's kind of unsavory, and it really goes to a schism and a split in the party right now of who is the real voice and who is controlling what. So if it is the sunset of the Clinton era, that's fine. But who is rising in the East? We shall see. But we played It's a Fix from Hands on a Hard Body. We followed that with Van Morrison from his 1995 album Days Like This, Russian Roulette. They're playing Russian Roulette with My Mind. Now we shift over to the Republican Party because George Papadopoulos, usually I can say this name, George Papadopoulos, a helper, quote unquote, to get Donald Trump elected, he pled guilty to doing some fraudulent stuff. Meanwhile, Paul Manafort, the guy who was running Trump's election campaign, and Richard Gates are both under house arrest. They're indicted for fraud. Nothing apparently to do with Russian collusion or stuff like that, but still, when they were lobbyists working with the Ukraine, they were laundering money, apparently, allegedly. An indictment is like a conviction. But, these are the people who are running Donald Trump's election campaign. So if we say a man is judged by the company he keeps, well, what company has our president been keeping? These guys. So we played Van Morrison Russian Roulette with our minds, essentially. We followed that with the unmistakable distorted voice of Jack White and the White Stripes from their 1999 debut album, and a song called Astro. Finally, we moved to happy stuff. At least, well, not if you're a Met or Yankees or Rockies fan, but if you're a baseball fan, congratulations to the Houston Astros winning their very first ever World Series. It took them 7 games to do it, where they beat the LA Dodgers in the final game by 5-1. George Springer, check this out. He took the most valuable player title by hitting 5 home runs in the series, and he got 8 extra base hits. He did crappy in like the first game and then came on like a monster. So congratulations to George Springer and to the Houston Astros. Maybe now they can scrap that stupid dome and put up a real ballpark where you can see the night sky and it's like, don't go whooshing in and out of it. I've never actually been into the Astrodome, I admit, but I've been to a similar dome in a ballpark. I think it was in Minnesota, one of these indoor things. And I guess it's kind of nice in crap weather, but other times it's just this noise machine and a wind tunnel when you're trying to get in. It's just not the same as baseball on a nice day. I'm sorry, it's just not. But we played Astro by the White Stripes, and then we finished our Saturday segue of songs in the news with Royal City, this band that had a marvelous album called Alone at the Microphone, going all the way back to 2001. We played their song Spacey Basement. Spacey Basement, because you do not want to go into a basement if you're male and young with Kevin Spacey. Finally, the conversation is shifting ever so slightly from Harvey Weinstein, who's going to be brought up on some charges at some point really soon. And we know, as Rabbi Saul said, this is the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be God knows how many other stars and directors and producers who are going to be dragged on the carpet rightfully for harassment or worse. But this week it was Kevin Spacey's turn. This time, first of all, it was Anthony Rapp, the actor from Rent, who, younger than Rent, when he was 14 years old, he was invited to a party by Spacey. He was at the same party, and, Spacey cornered him alone in a bed, and stuff went on, again, when Rapp was 14. Bearing this out, another actor came out this week who said he was 14 years old and had a consensual relationship at the time with Spacey. But, of course, a 30-something-year-old man cannot have a consensual relationship with a 14-year-old. You can have a hot relationship with a 14-year-old, but you can't have a consensual relationship with a 14-year-old. So House of Cards is going to be canceled after this current season. And now all these interns and these low-level people and production crew folks are coming out and saying that he's been a creep on the show and that they're kind of nervous and on eggshells around him. And we're all kind of a little, shall we say, embarrassed that this is the guy we picked to host last year's Tony Awards. So Kevin Spacey is the next one on the carpet, bringing up the rear, no pun intended. You've also got Jeremy Piven, who apparently, well, he is denying that he groped a former Playboy playmate who was appearing on Entourage, but the news chief for NPR, National Public Radio, Michael Oreskes, he had to resign this past week over sexual harassment charges. Again, it's just going to be name after name. First of all, I pray that all these people who are being dragged over the coals and their name in newsprint are in fact guilty of what they're being accused of, that it doesn't turn into an Arthur Miller Crucible situation where just names are thrown higgledy-piggledy by disgruntled interns and such. But if they are guilty of these kinds of things, absolutely they should be named and embarrassed or worse. And of course, the Fox News people and the right-wing people, they're grinning because they saw their folks, the Eric Bollings and the Bill O'Reillys, and who's the other guy who were called on the carpet and had to give tons of money to pay off folks who accuse them of molestation. They're saying, look at Hollywood. Look at the degenerates there. Believe me. The reason we're not hearing about this going on in law firms and architectural firms and universities is because nobody knows those names. You're not going to put, some professor on the front page of the New York Post. No one cares, as opposed to looking at Kevin Spacey. Oh my God. Harvey Weinstein, major producer. So that's why it seems like this has just been happening in Hollywood. But trust me, this is going to be an avalanche. Why it didn't happen during the Cosby explosion, the volcano, I don't know. Why the Cosby volcano couldn't have happened 20 years ago, I don't know that either. All I know is that it's happening. Stay tuned and don't go into the spacey basement with Royal City. Well, we are in the semi-ground level basement of the, what building is it? I think it's Davis Hall here at the University of Northern Colorado, finishing up the 626th episode of the Dave's Gone By radio program of the air with me, Dave Lefkowitz. How you doing? It's Saturday, November 4th, 2017. We've called this one Grist for the Mills because Donna Mills was our very special and wonderful guest. We thank her again, and we thank the folks at Anderson Group PR for setting that up. And thank you so much to Rabbi Sal Solomon for doing that interview with her. To find out more about him, go to shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T. shalomdammit.com. That's a place to read his rabbinical reflections, to watch his stage show that was recorded in front of a live audience at the Richmond Shepherd Theater a couple of years ago. And you can even see his hilarious Long Island cable TV show that he did about a decade ago. Again, his website is shalomdammit.com. Thank you so much to my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, for joining us in the first part of the program, and thank you all for listening. Remember that you can go to my website, excuse me, davesgoneby.com for the archives, as well as, of course, if you're watching on Facebook, you know our Facebook page, Radio Dave Lefkowitz. You can drop me an email, davesgoneby@aol.com. Well, my show's over in just a couple of minutes, so get out there in beautiful Greeley, Colorado today. It's 67 degrees now, going up to a high of 70. Not only is it nice, not only is it a mix of sun and clouds, but this is the nicest day you're going to get all week because we get cold coming in. Tomorrow, it's not even going to crack 50. I mean, it'll be, tomorrow and Monday up till around 50 during the day, and then Tuesday, oh boy, we might even be getting some snow. I gotta check that. So you might have to get out the hats and the winter coats and stuff for Tuesday. Wednesday, sunshine, but we just go over 40 degrees. And then Thursday and Friday, we go back to seasonal temperatures of the mid-40s up to about 50 during the day. But this day of beautiful, gorgeous, 70-degree sunny weather, not this week. So enjoy what we have today. Well, I've certainly enjoyed doing this radio program for you, as I do every week. Please join us next Saturday. We'll be back, I think it's November 11th, from 9 in the morning until noon or thereabouts Mountain Time on the radio station of the University of Northern Colorado. Dave Lefkowitz here doing Dave's Gone By. We're going to go out with one more reminder that late tonight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, it is fall, so you do get that extra hour of sleep. Whether it's worth trading that for having to wake up in pure darkness and come home at night in pure darkness, I don't know. But, well, it's that time of year, the time that we see daylight fading and gone by. Well, thank you, Facebook friends, for listening. Remember, you can go to the davesgoneby.com website if you want to hear the show over again, or probably Facebook will save the video if you want to watch that. Tell your friends, tell your family, please email, please say hi, please like and follow us on Facebook. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next week.